Good morning.
Good morning.
And we are live on the Watching Humans podcast. I am Skyler Thomas, your host, with co host Jack Gescheit. And we have a very special guest today. And many people already know who this is. Jack has prepared a little intro for Gary. We'll go with that, and then we will just jump right into it. And just fair warning, this will be a pretty unfiltered show with the three of us. So everybody strap in.
Good morning, Skyward. Thank you. Welcome, Gary. I'm going to give you the mic in just a minute and for the next hour and a half. But I do want to just, for our audience, I'm guessing is split. People who know who you are in the vegan community, and then, I don't know, I come in from the environmental side, so I know a lot of people who are forest advocates that Gary who and Yourofsky what. So there's no precise number on how many people Gary Yourofsky, this gentleman here, has turned vegan, convinced, not made them, but was so convincing, they said, I want to do this. I'm going to make this choice, my own free will. His lectures and speeches I'm reading some stuff here, has been seen online by millions now. He's given over 2,600 in-person lectures. Correct me if any of this is wrong, Gary, when I stop my little soliloquy here and deal with it. 2,600 in-person lectures to tens of thousands of people. I think that was largely in the US and also in Israel. And a lot of college-age kids, which I really want to talk about at some point too, the importance of reaching people at that age when they're out of the house but still young and impressionable. So you have convinced tens of thousands of Americans and Israelis and people right in front of you. And there's some huge number of Israelis that have been converted to veganism. I want to maybe talk about that. It doesn't matter what the exact number is, but it puts you, I want to give you credit, man, where it's due, up there with the likes of Jane Goodall, who's, a wonderful woman and more of a populist, and Ingrid Newkirk, if people know that she's a co-founder of PETA, but you've influenced that many people. It's a remarkable achievement you've done, largely through one speech. One speech was recorded, which, is known popularly as the most important speech you will ever hear. That has, I'm told, if this is correct, over 10 million views on YouTube, translated into over 30 languages.
I think it's more than 25 million, actually.
Thank you, sir. And I don't doubt it, the way things go viral these days. And I actually just stuck it recently in preparation for meeting you here. I'm going to stop in just a moment on top of my own Tree Spirit Project vegan page in respect for what you've done. And you're a controversial figure because of who you are, as people will see, but really appreciate you coming on the show and have a chance to get to know you, sir.
Thanks for having me on. I'm about to hijack Skyjack, take you down the back roads. You're going to need low jack or Kojak.
You're a rapper.
Just dropping a bar for you to start it off.
You're a rapper past, among other things you've done. Yeah. And then also today, by the way, I'll say this a few times, like dating myself, a Jerry Lewis telethon. Gary has asked exactly. Thank you. You got it. Gary, not for himself. Thank you, Skyward. Benefiting Sasha Farms, which is the largest, if I believe correctly, animal sanctuary in Michigan, where Gary hails from. So if you like what you're hearing today from content, if you know Gary already and want to support his mission, not him the man, he makes the distinction constantly. He is the opposite of a salesman. For Sasha Farms, please come on, make a comment, say you're donating, whatever you're donating, $10, $25, $100, $500, whatever you're moved to donate. And that's a pledge. And then you can go directly to sashafarm.org. There's a donate button there. Their separate donor, I think, is Give Butter, oddly enough.
Yep.
Vegan Butter, I assume. GiveButter.org is a way to donate directly to Sasha Farms in appreciation for what Gary has done in the past, what he's going to say now, however you want to frame it. Thanks again for being here.
Listen, Sasha Farm is very near and dear to me. I've been going there since 1996 when I became vegan. It's a paradise, the garden of vegan. They always have around 200 animals there at all times. Sometimes it goes up to 250 or 300. And there have been so many wonderful creatures that I've befriended over the years. And I'm going to urge vegans around the world, go to your local sanctuary. So many vegans I talk to never even hang out with the animals. We're always preaching about trying to save. You need to befriend these cows and pigs and chickens and turkeys and goats and sheep and donkeys and horses and see how much of an individual each of them truly is. And they have personalities just like we do, just like the dogs and cats we become accustomed to. And it's really cool to hang out with these animals. And Sasha Farm normally is okay with finances. They bring in about 250,000 a year. Problem is, the old owner is retiring and he's demanding that we pay him for the 50 acres of land that it's on. And unfortunately, we verified it with a vegan real estate agent. 50 acres in Manchester, Michigan goes for $675,000. So that's the problem that we're in. We're trying to raise that money to pay off the old owner. I wish he would just give it to us. I begged him several times because if I created something like this, I would want to give it away and say, take care of my baby. Unfortunately, the old owner is not doing that. So that's why we're in trouble. And by the way, for anybody who doesn't like me, the haters out there, I don't receive compensation from Sasha Farm in any way, shape, or form. I'm doing this out of the kindness of my heart. So please still make a donation for the animals that you care about. And you can even write a comment when you make a donation. Gary sucks, but here's 50 bucks. I don't care. Please help the animals. It's not for me. And I'm not a fundraiser. I'm an activist, but I'm doing this because they're in desperate times. And I'm just trying to put my voice out there and hope people will send in enough money so Sasha Farm can live forever.
Beautiful.
That goes for me too. You can say mean things about me too, as long as you donate.
And that goes for me too. You can say mean things about those two guys.
That works out because I'm already going to be the one saying mean things about you during the show, Jack. We don't need the audience adding on to it.
It sounds like we all have George Carlin flowing through our veins, and Mel Brooks, and Larry David, and Richard Pryor, and Eddie Murphy. I love using sarcastic humor, by the way, to spread the message. My Georgia Tech speech had a lot of funny stuff in there. You can spread the truth with sarcastic humor. Just go look at George Carlin's old bits about religion.
I
Uh,
I
if
don't know
if I
whether.
under,
Go ahead,
if I
Scott.
understand Susan Kirk's message, she just gave. So we have our first donor of the day. That's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. 25 bucks for Susan Kurtz. Thank you so much for getting us started. Appreciate it. This really is a telethon. This is great. uh,
Sasha Farm Telethon.
so, in fact, I actually have a few clips at some point. I mean, we're going to be here for a while, depending on how it goes, if we behave, because, I don't want to offend Gary. But I actually have a Carlin clip. I don't know whether it's appropriate to start. I was going to wait a little bit or maybe jump in at the appropriate time, but I do have a Carlin clip, which is it's kind of pertinent, I think, to a bigger conversation about the nature of humor, hyperbole, when you exaggerate something to make a point, and then even Al Franken, who was a comic on SNL, he became a senator of all things, like out of a movie. And then he said whenever he would say stuff to make a point with comedy, it would go through the opposite side of the aisle. In his case, as a Democrat, was Republicans, and they would run his comments through what he called the dehumorizer. So he would say, like, yeah, that's right, I hate women. And the Republicans say, you see, he admitted he hates women. It's like, oh my God, don't be a politician with a wicked sense of humor. I mean, it's not the right forum for that kind of personality.
Do you have a
Sometimes
clip?
it works, though. You got to hear a real crazy story. I was doing a protest in Detroit at the Universal Circus, the Black Circus. I protest all circuses that come to town in Michigan back in the day, but they thought I was just picking on them because they were black. And they'd say, why don't you go protest the Shriners or Ringling Brothers? I said, I was there last week. You guys are in town this week. You don't get a free pass just because you're black. Well, about 25 or 30 black people surrounded me and started threatening me and claiming that I hated black people. So I decided that I had to use sarcastic humor at that point. I said, yes, I hate black people. That's why I'm standing at Shane Park in the middle of Detroit with my friend Laura, just two white people standing here because I hate black people. They actually laughed out loud. Three people came up to me and said, okay, well, what's going on? Now, Universal Circus at Shane Park was out in the open. I said, turn your head to the right. You see those elephants? You see the chains around their legs? The same chains that you guys had on. That's why I'm here, trying to expose the injustice and the hypocrisy that you guys are taking part in. And they ended up being wonderful. And they walked over and looked closer and said, oh my God. And they actually left. So sometimes sarcastic humor truly does work. But I always thought that was a hysterical story. I said, okay, fine. I hate black people, really. That's why I'm standing here. And they got it. They absolutely got it. Sometimes I'm shocked when people get my humor, but people are capable of doing it.
See, you'll be a fine guest on the show with me as a host because I solve everything racially by just saying I don't like Homo sapiens, but I do get
Hey, that's one of my lines too, man. I can't stand them. In fact,
I
if you
do get
guys
a
gave
little
me the
bit.
power to press a button right now and get rid of Homo sapiens right now, it would have been pressed already. I wouldn't even consult you. I wouldn't consult Carmen. I wouldn't ask anybody. I'd press the button because the world would be a better place without two-legged devils walking around
Oh,
destroying everything in sight.
I thought we were going to wade into the shallow end of the pool and walk out.
No, you didn't.
Right,
No, you
no,
didn't.
I didn't. I'm kidding. I'm kidding right now. We're going to go off the high dive, which makes me want to, of course, you guys, if you can carry the show for like 30 seconds, I want to prep a little clip.
Oh yeah, because I proposed to Jack doing an entire show about the one thing I don't like that George Carlin said. I mean, it's probably more than one, but he had a stand-up bit, and he went on about, oh, you people worrying about these natural disasters and this and that,
Yeah, the
and
environmental bit. I know. I don't like it either.
it's no, because it's what so many people say to me to
Yeah.
justify us trying not to prove it. They say, oh, the earth is going to be fine, it'll be here after we're gone. I'm like, that doesn't make what we're doing to it okay. And everything non-human, and humans too, but non-humans are suffering on shocking levels because of what we are doing. So the fact that we finally make ourselves go extinct after making everything else go extinct first, and then the earth will recover, that's supposed to like justify it. Like I just feel that is the bit that I was going to do an entire show on from Carlin, because otherwise I think he's pretty good. But that it's such a cop out. It's like, oh, the earth will be here when we're gone.
Just keep in mind, you can never agree with anybody 100% of the time. I don't like that skit either. And just to bring some humor into it, I also didn't like the skit where he said white people shouldn't be shaving their heads bald. I'm like, George, no, I'm your biggest fan. What are you doing? He said, you shouldn't walk around looking like a freshly circumcised penis. Oh, I said, George, you're breaking my heart, man. So listen, you can't agree with anybody 100% of the time. But George had the great bit about chickens being decent people. Is that the one you're going to play, by the way? I don't want to.
No, actually, you're jumping ahead of me, buddy. It's okay.
Okay, all right. Go ahead. I don't want to give nothing away. I'm a Carlin. Carlin's my man.
So let me go back to the general happy topic of misanthropy, if that's the
Okay.
term. Can you see my screen now? Can you see some blurry
I
thing?
am adding it. I'll
Okay.
make that full.
Let me know when you're ready, and I will play. This is a minute and a half.
Okay.
For some people are young enough here, which is to say that some of us on this TV show here, as oh there you go, TV show gave it away. Oh, what a giveaway! Are old enough to have seen this live in the movie theaters. For other people, if they haven't seen it, enjoy.
But you humans do not. You move to an area and you multiply and multiply until every natural resource is consumed. And the only way you can survive is to spread to another area. There is no
So I'm gonna
on this planet.
pause it because that'll get us copyrighted and banned if I play that for too long. But
Seriously.
I think everyone knows that bit. I would be shocked if you don't know it, Gary.
Okay.
Stellar, man. It's a stellar bit. It's spot on.
And here's my
Yeah.
comment on this podcast with you, sir. If someone says that, goes out there and says seriously with intent, like Hugo Weaving, the actor, does here, humans are a virus on the planet. You multiply and destroy. You will get criticism up the wazoo. If you write a script and an actor says it, then it's like, wow, this is great art. And this is the trouble. I mean, it's controversial stuff, but you get into trouble by saying truths that are hard and nasty. Not the full truth, not the only truth, not the entire picture, Gary, but stuff that can be yanked out of context like this. Although, we all three agree on this. As you have said, we're the only species, if you take us off the earth, everything thrives. Many other species, you take them off and everything suffers.
Yeah, I've said this actually hundreds of times in front of classrooms. I said it on my Israeli interviews. And I never got backlash. I think people truly deep down understand that if you remove us, we're the only piece of this puzzle that doesn't fit. We don't make any sense. And if you take the ants off the planet, the ecosystem suffers. The bees get taken off the planet, the ecosystem collapses. I don't even know how anybody can make an argument against this. Now, the only thing I'll say is maybe it doesn't have to be that way. Maybe it wasn't that way, I don't know, tens of thousands of years ago. Who knows? But it certainly is that way right now. And it certainly has to stop. And we certainly have to change every single behavior that we're taking part in.
I mean, that bit stood out to me well before I was vegan, and to a lot of people who still aren't vegan. But when you just look at it at its core, it's true. It's what we do. And how many movie scripts are about humans needing to leave Earth and go to another planet because we consumed everything? Or they flip it and make it sound like the aliens are the bad guys coming to consume our resources. But it's what you do when you don't have homeostasis. You don't have any actual ecological purpose. And I think about purpose all the time. And that clip makes me think about it. What in the hell are we actually supposed to be doing here? Because everything else, you can look at them if you're a scientist and you study the role that an animal plays in its habitat and you remove it, there's a problem. You remove us, there are no problems. So, and that's undeniable. And I can understand why that is very uncomfortable for human beings. And I sometimes think that that's why we had to come up with religion, because that gives us a purpose. And some people even interpret religion as a reason to treat the planet like shit, amazingly enough.
You just had to shoehorn a religion in there, didn't you? Right away.
Well, we can move on. We can move on. Don't jump
Killing in
on
the
it.
name of. I mean, the oldest excuse in the book. I'm big on
Rage.
phrases, and I don't think a lot of people understand phrases that we use a lot. People always say that's the oldest excuse in the book. Just to clarify this for everybody, the book is the Bible, and the oldest excuse is God says it's okay. And isn't that a great way to sleep soundly at night by doing whatever atrocity you want to do and say, well, my God says it's okay? What people aren't understanding is they're not talking about God, they're talking about the devil. That's completely blasphemous, and it's been turned around. And by the way, about the worthless beings on this planet, I used to tell the crowd too that there are 5 worthless beings that I can't figure out why they're here: flies, mosquitoes, fleas, ticks, and human beings. However, I recently found out over the last few years that flies and mosquitoes are pollinators. They actually serve a purpose. So I'm taking them off the list. Now we got fleas, ticks, and mosquitoes. And now I just read a huge article about that tick that's making people allergic to meat. Jesus, do I have to take the ticks off the list now? Now we're down to fleas and human beings. I don't understand. All we do is attack and destroy everything in our path. We pollute the air, pollute the water, cut down the forest, and murder all the animals. And we
I,
don't even we don't even think twice about it. We just keep doing it, and all probably for the almighty dollar.
See, this is why Yourofsky, I'm not going to put up with this nonsense. You are not going to badmouth fleas in my presence. There's no way you're not going to lump humans in with fleas. Fleas are beautiful, magnificent creatures, finely tuned, integrated into their system, into the ecosystem and the environment overall, every other species. Humans are a problem. Now, the trouble
Okay, I listen. I'll take the fleas off. I'd love humans to stand alone in the worthless category.
Well, look,
Believe me. No
every single
fight,
one
no
of those,
argument here, my man.
in addition to what you looked up, Gary, every single one of those, except for the human beings, is an essential food source for other creatures because they, reproduce in such huge masses. Something a little bit bigger than them needs them. Something bigger than them needs that. They're all supposed to be here. And I actually get really upset when I see these people bragging about wiping out mosquitoes. I'm like, you're not just wiping out mosquitoes. You're destroying a system at the core.
we 3 are vegans here, and we care very much. Are tuned in, more highly sensitive. And Gary I'm new to this, 10 years, but I look at yellow jackets being captured in traps around places. I want to keep them out of my steak or out of my meat or out of my whatever they're going for. And it's like, stop killing everything. Just stop it. Just
That's all
stop.
we know how to do is kill, 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 kill. And the more I think about it, I've been really into alien stuff the last 5, 10 years. I think we're the aliens, and that's why we don't fit. And And something
Mm.
else I had to think about and realize over the last 5, 10 years, maybe not all aliens are good. So I used to think, oh, the aliens are going to come and save. Well, what if the aliens are just as fucked up as us? Or what if the aliens are us? And that's why we're so fucked up. But we definitely don't fit. And we're probably, the aliens are right here. Look, go look in the mirror, everybody. But there are some good ones, the vegans out there that have become, enlightened, awakened, and want to make amends for the past horrors that they were taking part in. And that's all we ever ask of all the meat, dairy, and egg eaters. Realize what you're doing is wrong. Look in the mirror. It's okay to say that you're wrong, apologize, and make amends and move on.
Yeah. And all you have to do is show people the truth of how we humans treat animals, and they will wake up to it. Actually, in preparation for this, I watched your folks. If you haven't seen it, the most important speech you'll ever see is a speech Gary made in 2010, Georgia Tech, and it's just I just want to give you chops here before we get into other stuff. It's, I don't know, the core of that is like 40 minutes, and you talk about some vegan foods to eat and all that stuff, but you have an amazing skill set. And I just want to, I mean, wherever we're going to go with the conversation, I just want to give you your props, man. I'm a student of public speaking. I'm decent at it myself, but I was terrified all my life, learned to get that out of the way. And just you in that speech, and really everything you do, but that was a combination of your talent at speaking with emotion and passion and genuineness from your heart, which is clearly what motivates you for everything you do for animals. You love them deeply and connect with them in a way, as you said, we all do as children. And then you worked freaking hard at it. You were on the road, as I understood it, for at least 10 years, and you did it thousands of times. So you had all that material available to you. And it's just, one of your, and many of them weren't recorded because it goes back when, but it's just an amazing thing you've done, just talking, being emphatic on stage with your body, and kids knowing this guy is not bullshitting me, and he's done his research, and you changed people. You didn't need video or AI or movies or any of that stuff, just the human voice and able to reach people. And you have made a contribution to humanity in a way that many people haven't, for teaching people we can love animals as we did as children. We don't have to eat them, subjugate them, use them, abuse them, treat them as objects, which our culture has done, brainwashing us all, conditioning us all to do so. So thank you, man, for your service. I'm glad you're getting a little bit of love years later after having burnt out and not getting enough love to sustain you.
Man, thanks for the props. I was in my prime back then. I have to admit, I was like Bob Seger's song "Like a Rock." I mean, that 2010, I had been lecturing solidly for 8 years. It was my magnum opus. If people can go find there's a speech from 2002. A lot of my close friends like that. They say, "Oh, man, it's so raw and cutting." But I really like where it ended up around 2010, where I was basically freestyling a lot of the speech. There were several sections in there after the slaughterhouse video when I came out and I said, right now on American highways, there are no less than 5,000 concentration camp trucks that we've constructed with innocent beings. That was a freestyle. So I became so adept and so comfortable in front of the crowd. I now just started flowing with whatever
Mm.
was going through my mind. And I
Mm.
had different versions in my head for every section I wanted to touch on. And it was crazy because I could access 5, 10, 15, 20 different ways to explain something as I'm speaking and look at it in my head in a Rolodex format. I'm showing my age. So there are Rolodex cards in my head. And I say, oh, grab this one and do this section. Explain it this way while I'm speaking and not missing a beat. And if I did miss an important sentence that I needed to explain, I realized it 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later. I said, ooh, I was supposed to bring that up. Why don't you go drop it in 7 minutes right over here? And the only thing that I ever saw similar to that was I saw a documentary called The Art of Rap with Eminem, and he was saying the same thing, that he sees words and he wants to rhyme the third syllable of this word with the second syllable of this word, and he could piece it together. But that's basically what I was doing during the speech. And yeah, I was in an era. I do wish I had more recorded. There's only about 10 or 15 of the 2,660 talks tape, but I grew up in an era. I was before the
Mm.
internet when I started,
Mm.
and we
Mhm.
didn't document everything. I didn't even record that speech. Let me give props out to Nathan Black, a student at Georgia Tech, who
Mm.
contacted me a couple days before and said, Gary, you changed my life last year in Professor Klein's class. Can I come this year? And record you. He shows up. He wants to put a mic on me. I said, no, I'm Pavarotti. I'm like Rob Halford from Judas Priest. I don't need a microphone, and I'm not doing this whole production, no lights, no mics. You want to record me, stand over to the left. And he recorded that, and that was in an auditorium, 180 students. And thank goodness he did, because look what it ended up doing. And I have to tell you something else. I didn't think other people beyond the classroom were actually listening. I
Mm.
was shocked when I found out after I retired over the years, and people were talking about the speech, and people in Germany, and people in France, and Spain, and there are like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people claiming they were Gary vegans. I'm like, wait a second, what? People were listening elsewhere, because I never got that love back from across the world. The students were great. I want to throw out a good stat. My talks were amazingly successful. I was converting about 50% of the crowd, and professors told me a minimum of 15 to 20%. Sometimes the whole crowd was going vegan, but the coolest thing that I got to see change in 60 minutes, because every lecture started out with arms crossed. And I
Mm.
heard people snickering, the fucking vegans here. I should have brought a steak. I should have brought my dad's deer head. And I heard all that shit, but I wasn't mad at anybody before the lecture, because I was the same. I knew they were uninformed and brainwashed. That's why I
Mm.
was there. I was a little upset after, because I ended my speeches with, so what's your excuse now? So if you came up with excuses then, you're just a dickhead, because I laid it out. Basically, if
Yeah.
you could watch my speech or Earthlings and not become vegan, you're just
Mm.
a dick. I mean,
Mm.
what else do you need? It was just laid out. But those students went from arms crossed, arms open 10 minutes after the slaughterhouse video at the 15-minute mark. Maybe one arm went above their head. It was like a submissive position. And then I would drop some humor. They would laugh with me. They would play along with me, and take them back and forth on this militant comedy roast that I was doing. And it was amazing. By the end, their arms were open. They were like, yeah, okay, tell me, what am I supposed to eat for dinner tonight? Tell me. Okay, okay, I get it, man. I was there too, because I lived off peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the first 3 months, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Those are the questions I wanted. I hated the
Mm.
what about God shit, what about protein shit, which I
Mm.
took
Mhm.
care of during the speech. It was like, now you're
Mm.
just fighting me. To
Mhm.
let those foundations crumble. Don't walk on crumbled foundations. You're going to sound stupid. Oh, animals don't feel pain. Animals can't think. They're just property. I mean, this is what happens when you stand on a crumbled foundation that I
Mm.
crumbled during the speech. But the
Mm.
good people were like, okay, I get it, man. Help me out. So, and answer this for me. Again, and usually it was, what do I eat? What do I wear? Where can I get, non-cow skin shoes? But man, that lecture tour was something else, guys. It was something else. And I just fell into it too. I'm thankful that the universe had me fall into the education based activism, because I was running the gamut like everyone. I was trying a street sign carrying protest on the streets. I was getting arrested, civil disobedience. I mean, I was doing all that other stuff that I don't want to take back, but nothing was as effective until I stepped in the classroom and started teaching people about why vegan.
I
Can you read the comment on the screen that Skylar just put?
Yeah, we'll catch up with a few comments, but this is a pretty nice one. Hillary A says, Gary, you changed my life in January 2023. I will be grateful to you for the rest of my life from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Gary. And I also wanted to point out that one of our regular listeners, Ray Cooper, donated $100 to Sasha from
Thank you.
World Peace Chocolate. Plus, vegans eat free. Ray Cooper has a vegan chocolate company that he's getting off the ground. You know, I
Awesome.
remember, I remember from that speech, you didn't really leave many escape routes, and you were flowing. And I was like, wow, he's not really giving any of these excuse makers anywhere to go. So, as you said, if you're
Do
still
you know
making
what? One of the most common comments after that talk was, every time I had a question, you answered it a couple minutes later. And that's how my
mm,
crazy brain worked.
mm,
As I was saying
hmm
things, I
hmm
went back to the old Gary. What would old meat, dairy, and egg eating Gary say now? And then I'd say, you better answer this, because they're thinking the same thing. And that's what I did during that speech. Is like, now, again, what's your excuse now at the end? I got it covered. Now you're just a dick. I answered everything you could possibly have. So
And
that
doesn't
was,
it come down to that's what makes us people like me not like human beings? Because as I heard you respond in one of your other interviews, you're like, I think this had something to do with when you just finally took a hiatus. You're like, I was tired of hearing people making excuses to be shitty. And I say it to my non-neat vegan friends that I don't even bother communicating with. I was like, what exactly are you the most dedicated to here? Torturing animals or being unhealthy? Because you guys are not exactly the role models for what an elite human being looks like. So
It's
don't tell me
amazing
that
to
you
me
need the
that
diet
people
you're eating.
choose to be defiant about this topic. Why would you be defiant
Yes,
about
thank you.
harming somebody else, about stealing somebody else's babies, about artificially impregnating and raping a female animal, about electroejaculating male animals to obtain the sperm to rape the animals? Why would you be defiant on this topic with all the things you could be defiant about? It's almost like they're a bunch of 8-year-old brats and they've been in trouble and their parents
Hmm.
took away the Xbox and they're just throwing a fucking tantrum. But
Hmm.
why? I'm not taking away anything from you. That's essential. This is all inessential fucking evil shit that people are doing. That's what vegans are trying to take away, the exploitation. We're trying to put people, in alignment with their ethical principles. And that's also what bothers me too, right? Everyone walking around with an imaginary halo over their head, but they really got fucking horns. They're acting like demons.
Brainwashing, brainwashing. I mean, you it's so interesting to see your different sides. I mean, all of us, different sides of your personality, where you can get fiery and pissed off, and you know the same answers to you ask these rhetorical questions, and you're fury, like, how can people do this? You know the answer. We're all taught that as innocent little children. When I was listening to your speech, I reminded I have a picture of both my parents were professional photographers. I grew up in New York. My father would take me out to lakes to go fishing, and I have a picture of cute little Jackie, uh, 60 years old. Excuse me, 60 years ago, I was 5. I'm 65 now, holding up a sunny, a bluegill sunfish. And I'm smiling like, look what I caught.
Hmm.
My
Hmm.
father was not a hunter. My father was a gentle urban artist guy who would pet the cows in the field that we pass in Vermont, visiting my aunt up there and stuff in the 60s. And it's so widespread. It's
I
so
have I have a similar one. Now I found a picture of me when I was about 4 or 5 with my father fishing. I used to show this in classes after I found this picture. I'm crying though. My dad's holding a dead fish next to me and I'm in tears and I'm thinking, future activist, I didn't even know it. And I was
Hmm.
in tears over it, but the brainwashing is real. Our parents do it, and it's because they've been brainwashed too. I'm not saying our mommy and daddy are evil, but they teach us evil things that they've been taught. But evil does come from religions, all religions, by the way. People want to tell me Buddhists and Hindus aren't evil too. Bullshit. They make the same fucking excuses. Well, as long as I don't kill the animal, I can still eat the animal. So all religion is completely full of shit, like George Carlin would say. It comes from the media, right? Comes from TVs and movies. It comes from the government. Everywhere we look, they're telling people animals don't count, animals don't matter, animals were put here for humans, humans are superior. And of course, as vegans, we challenge all of those idiotic notions. It doesn't add up why people want to act like demons and two-legged devils towards animals. If you can rule with a loving touch instead of an iron fist, why wouldn't you? If you can
Or
choose to be
actually,
kind instead of cruel, I don't understand why people don't make that choice.
because we're taught that these are bonding moments. I use Norman Rockwell paintings as the covers of some of the videos I've done. I'm like, this is supposed to be a happy moment between a father and a son, learning to be a man, and it's an animal suffering hanging from a line as you're walking hand in hand down a trail and whatever. And
I'm sorry, Skyward. Continue. I'm sorry.
it's a lot of glare, but we
Yeah.
get it. That's what it
Anyway,
is.
it's that. I mean, it's actually the bridge I was fishing off of. It's a picture of me in my dad's lap, and he loved me, and he was an emotional, expressive father. But like we're all just saying, they don't know any better, and they teach us. I mean, I was never cruel. I was never taught to be cruel to animals, but it was just taught. It's so. I mean, honestly, I'd love to do an hour show just on that and bring in psychologists and how it works. That little kids, I think that great example you say is you take an apple and a rabbit and you throw it into a crib with a child. He doesn't eat the rabbit. and yeah, right, and play with the apple. He plays with the bunny, and he does no harm to it. So that's in us innately, with rare exception. Rare exception.
Not only that, all of our movies, right? All the kids' movies, the Disney movies are all revolving around animals and being with animals, stuffed animals, right? How many kids sleep with stuffed animals? So we're getting though mixed things, and it comes down to the lies that our parents teach us, right? They tell us, or Ronald McDonald used to tell us, that hamburgers grow in hamburger patches. They don't
Holy shit,
tell
that's
the
true.
kids what's really going on. And I did a recent podcast where I said, I'm tired of adults saying that kids can't handle the truth. Bullshit. Adults can't handle the truth.
That's so
Mommy and
true.
daddy can't handle the truth. The kids would love to hear the truth. I did a second grade class once. Now, of course, they didn't get my standard speech. Everything had to be good, bad, right, wrong. I love animals and this. So I'm just shooting the shit with these kids. And all of a sudden I explained that how much I love animals. And one kid raises his hand and says, "Oh, Mr. Gary, I'm vegan too. I love animals." And he duped me at first. I'm like, "Oh my God, you have great parents. Oh, anyone else vegan?" And everyone else raised their hands. "I'm vegan too." I said, "Oh, okay." They think because they love animals. So I said, "Has anyone
Mm,
seen the movie Babe recently?"
mm,
"I love Babe." "Has anyone had a hot dog recently?" "I
mm,
love hot dogs." And I
mm,
said, "That's Babe." And they went, and then the teacher in the back, like, "You weren't supposed to say that." I said, "Why? I'm going to get in trouble. I'm in trouble for telling the truth. You mean if I were a liar, I would be praised?" And that's what our society does. Don't we praise liars? We praise politicians, praise religious people. But man, somebody goes out and speaks the truth, they get condemned or they get shot and killed. Go go throughout history. Everybody that tried to bring massive amount of substantive change and peace, killed or arrested.
Wasn't there some famous long-haired guy? We don't even know if he's white or black. He's probably black. We don't know, dark skin. And he had very long hair, and he walked around talking about things like, kind of poetic sayings like "blessed are the peacemakers," something vague. I forget who he was, but didn't they like put him up and kill him with a crucifixion for
And
being?
by the way, this is some harsh stuff, but a lot of religious people asked me over the years, after they heard my lecture, "Why don't you speak for Jesus?" I said, "You know what? I will, if you can tell me how converting people to Jesus makes the world a better place." And they'd say, "Oh, but I'm so happy now. I'm saved." I said, "Okay, you are happy. You feel better. How does the world become better?" And then I
mm,
tell all these people, "By the way, if you think Jesus is coming back, not a fucking chance in hell. Because if he came back, you'd fucking kill him again. He'd tell you to be nice to the animals, be nice to the earth, be nice to gay people, be nice to everybody, and you'd fucking crucify him again. You guys don't follow Jesus. You guys follow rituals. It's a ritualistic cult religion." And all of them. I just don't want to pick on Christians, Jews, and Muslim. Everything's a ritual, right? Praying 18 hours a day, saying the rosaries, dipping somebody in water, cutting a little baby boy's penis. Everything is a fucking ritual. When
mm.
does being good come into play? When does the golden rule actually come into play? When does "thou shalt not kill" actually be followed? But man, the religious crowd, and listen, I've reached a lot of religious people as I'm being harsh on them, but they certainly are the toughest crowd. And it actually breaks my heart because in
Mhm.
'96, when I became vegan, there were two groups of people I wanted to talk to so badly. I said, "Oh, I can't wait to talk to religious people and veterinarians. They're going to get this so much." Guess who the two toughest groups of people to talk to? Veterinarians, dog and cat people who, by the way, have been trained in school to be
Yeah,
right in
yeah,
slaughterhouses to actually work for the meat, dairy, and egg industries, and
yeah.
religious people who just want to kill in the name of God and never love in the name of God. When does that happen,
Well,
by the way, religious
if
people?
if and when religion does have something good to say, humans often reinterpret it. I mean, how many versions of the Bible are there?
Yeah,
I was raised heavily on the Bible. I'll play good cop for a moment. I mean, obviously, the Old and New Testament are so different from each other that alone will confuse you. But at its core, Jesus talked about love, and if you leave it at that, and your goal going out is to be loving, and you apply that to non-humans also, it's a good message. But
great
like
message.
like Genesis, people, one interpretation is be stewards of the earth. Another one says that means subdue the earth. I'm like, really? God made the earth for you to subdue? That's really what you think? And then the next line is, God knows when every sparrow falls, but his father wants you to subdue all of them. I mean, come on. Well, someone's not interpreting this correctly.
It's interesting. So I forgot that you were raised with a Bible. I was not. I was raised by non-religious
Oh, I
parents.
had that thing fucking memorized. It was extreme.
Yeah, I mean, talk about heavy brainwashing. Although it's so intense, you probably question it. But I mean, hence that Carlin routine. When I saw it, I think I had an orgasm. There's the organized religion, and he was very specific and very precise. He didn't say spirituality or God. He said organized religion. Organized religion would have you believe there's an invisible man living in the sky, and there's 10 specific things the invisible man doesn't want you to do. And then, he went on, if you do any one of them, then when you die, you go to a place of burning and fire and torture and pain and suffering and death until the end of time. But he loves you. He loves you and he needs money.
He
Oh my
needs money.
God. The brilliant George
Yeah.
Carlin. Wow.
It's always amazing to me too that every religious person I've ever talked to says that humans are sinners. And then we point out the biggest sin you could commit is to murder somebody else, and then they want to defend it. Wait, I thought you were sinning. Well, what's the fucking sin then that you were talking about? Because here it is, right here, especially when you look at the Garden of Eden, which was a vegan haven, Isaiah 11:7, the holy mountain, the wolf will live with the
Mm-hmm.
lamb. The beginning and the
Mm-hmm.
end are clearly vegan havens, so why don't we strive towards those states? And there are no
Interesting. Yeah.
slaughterhouses in heaven either. So the whole thing is just absurd, but it's just another excuse. And as Carlin said, more people have been killed in the name of God than for any other reason. That
Although
is
I
the
would say
main reason.
I have, really devout atheist friends who really like hammer away at it. Like, don't be so agnostic, Jack. If it wasn't religion, Gary, don't you think there would just be some other social construct that we would use to exploit and be cruel to each other? I mean,
Sure.
religion is it. It's fair. Bill Maher goes off on that too. But if it weren't for that, we would just find another way to get lost in our hate and pain and inflict it on others, whether it's religion.
Because humans seem to be incorrigible. We're a warring species. Here's something else that I'll challenge. You always hear that humans are social creatures. What? Social, every time more than five of us get together, somebody fucking dies. Somebody gets tortured and killed. I believe we'd be a lot better antisocial. We should just socialize for like an hour or two a day. That's what I do when I go work out at the gym. And then I go back home and stay away from everybody. And I'm a lot happier these days not socializing. And I also challenge this notion of humans are moral agents. What? Who came up with this fucking human supremacy shit? Moral agents? When? Where? You mean slavery throughout history? You mean raping children, raping women? Are you kidding me? You torturing animals, destroying the fucking earth? You know who are moral agents? Who always get picked on the most? Herbivore animals, elephants, rhinos,
Mm.
giraffes, hippos, antelope, deer, buffalo, bunny rabbits. Who does a bunny rabbit fuck with? These are the moral agents of this planet, but we want to call them moral patients because we want to place ourselves on a pedestal and we want to, have this construct where humans rule everything and we'll decide who to be nice to, who to be, unkind to. Here's another skit for you. Did you guys ever see that skit by Dennis Leary? When he says, how come animals have to stand before us like we're God and
Mm-hmm.
prove their worth? And
Mm-hmm.
it goes something like this. He says, well, who's the first one in line? There's an otter. Okay, well, who are
I
you?
do
And
cute little human things with my
yeah,
hands.
who are you and what do you do? Well, I'm an otter. I roll on my back. I do cute little human things with my hands. He says, okay,
You're
you
free
can
to
go.
go.
Well, who are you and what do you do? Well, I'm a cow. I don't do anything. I sit in the field and eat grass all day. Bullshit, you're a baseball glove. Get on the truck. Now, this again, truth and humor. He's right.
Right.
It's
Right.
exactly what we do. And and
Right.
and it does break my heart though that nobody can see a cow as a cow anymore. They see a pair of shoes, a
Absolutely.
briefcase, a
Absolutely.
hamburger. Nobody sees a chicken for a chicken anymore. They see a bucket of wings. And it's outrageous that we've turned animals into commodities and objects, and we have absolutely dehumanized, deanimalized, whatever the word is. We have turned them into inanimate objects. But everybody should know an inanimate object is a car, a cell phone, a TV set, a table, or a chair. Not a cow, pig, chicken, turkey, or fish. Not a monkey or a mouse. These are living, breathing, sentient beings that are caught up in a tornado of hell that we've created, and it needs to stop.
Isn't it interesting that becoming vegan creates all this other awareness? A lot of people think it's just about not eating meat, but it causes you to just stop and contemplate so many other things. For example, us starting to think, Jesus, are we the aliens? And I want to. because we've been pretty hard on humans, and rightfully so. But let me be the weirdo who actually gives a little ray of hope, because we talked about us being aliens earlier, and for good reason. I mean, we are so at odds with this planet. It seems like we don't belong here. But there could have been a version of us that isn't at odds with it. And I talked about purpose earlier because I think purpose is important. I don't understand people who go through their day without a sense of purpose. The thing that makes us unique from other creatures is our interest in studying them, understanding them, uh, uh, what we can do with our hands. Why can't we have the role on this planet of being their doctors, being their caregivers, just going around enjoying their presence and administering care when it's needed? I mean, like, I fantasize about walking up to my lion buddies and removing a thorn from their paw. I mean, how much cooler is that than shooting one from a distance?
Skylar, that's a beautiful notion, man. I don't understand either, because to me, getting a wild animal to come up to you and approach you, it's one of the greatest moments ever, man. When I can get a squirrel in my backyard to come and take a cashew or an almond out of my hand,
Yep.
oh my, it's the highlight not only of my day, of my week. I'll be talking about it for weeks. Man, this squirrel finally came up to me. I was talking to him and he came up, he trusted me. Or there was a groundhog one day, and the groundhog, I wish I can speak groundhog. By the way, this is how
Mm,
this, so humans claim
mm,
that they're so brilliant, but we're
mm,
all too stupid to speak animal languages because they
mm-hmm,
have languages. But
mm-hmm.
we're too stupid. Me too. I wish I could speak groundhog and tell this groundhog, you can come to my garden anytime. Take all the carrots, take all the kale, take all the celery you want. One day he was hiding in the corner, and my ex-wife Erica saw him. She goes, Gary, the groundhog is under that little pallet. And I took some celery out of the ground. I offered him. I said, please come take it. And I can see he was scared. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to lay it down. Don't be scared. I wish I can tell you you're safe. You're safe in this yard. This is a haven. And last year, when I was standing out there, I knew there was a brown rat living out there. We kind of caught a glimpse of him a couple times. And he came out and walked right in front of me, sauntered right by, and he knew he was safe. And I said, boy, you picked the right yard. Do me a favor. Stay in this yard. You're going to get harmed somewhere else. You can live here peacefully. But you're right. Why can't we just go out and look at the animals, help the animals? Because that's what I think the only interactions we should have with animals is to help them when they're in need. And it would be a
And
beautiful scene.
I have an answer to you already, because some people are going to listen to what you just said and criticize it. Oh, you're not respecting nature. Oh, you're interfering with nature. You're feeding wildlife. And these are the people that are massacring the planet and suddenly want to pretend that they respect nature and
Right.
natural processes while we remove all the habitat. And animals have nowhere left to go except for pathetically scavenging in our yards because everything's gone.
They want to spend their whole day trying to catch a vegan in a contradiction, right? That's
Yeah.
their whole goal. It's why they bring up crop deaths. And real quickly, let me talk about this. Number one, they don't give a fuck about the pheasants and the insects that are killed in
No,
the crops any
no.
more than they care about the cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys, and fish.
Amen.
But second of
Amen.
all, those crops are being fed to the animals that they're eating. And yes, listen, there are things that are happening on this planet because we're alive where animals suffer and die. But we're all responsible for crop deaths, and which, by the way, we could solve. And one day we will. We're going to have indoor vertical farming. And we're going to need to do this too because of all the weather problems that we're having and just weather in general, whether it's climate change or not. I don't give a fuck. There's droughts and there's freezes that are happening. So we can solve that problem of crop deaths with indoor vertical farming, controlled environments. But you can't solve a slaughterhouse unless you burn it down. Vegans have found the answer to the slaughterhouse: become vegan, stop exploiting animals, and burn that motherfucker down. But we're all responsible for crop deaths. We all drive cars. We all pollute the environment. We have air conditioning and heat. We have cell phones and computers and all the mining that goes into that. But vegans are still making a difference in being altruistic. We go a step further than everyone else and say, We're also not going to exploit animals. No more cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys, and fish will be exploited for us. No more elephants in the circus for us. No more bulls in the rodeo for us. No more. We don't support mice and monkeys and bunny rabbits being tortured in vivisection experiments. So veganism is still the answer. But then from there, we could all work together and solve all the other problems on this planet too. I like some of the things I'm seeing too around the world where cities are now building roads that are animal friendly, where they're going to have tunnels so the animals can cross the roads, or bridges, special bridges where the elk can cross without getting hit. See, then I'm so twisted when I hear this, because it lets me know that we could do those great things that you just talked about, Sky.
Exactly. I was
And
like, how
then
is this happening in 2025? We're the
right. Like
intelligent
we
species and
are
we're now
capable
considering
of
this?
being kind, and then we just choose cruelty and laziness.
Yeah, exactly. How the hell are we just now thinking about Animal Crossings in 2025?
I don't know. I don't know, man. And
It's
again, we could do so much. And then you've heard me say this before too. Technologically, humans are brilliant. Ethically, we're on par with parasites, just like that Matrix clip. We are fucking parasites. And you know what? I'd rather have a bunch of non-technical human beings, stupid human beings that were compassionate, than technologically brilliant humans that were evil. I would like to flip that script too.
we are
Yeah.
constantly focused on how intelligent we are, and obviously we all agree we're it depends how you measure intelligence. If you measure, not destroying your own life support system called the planet's ecosystem, I would say we're the least intelligent species on the
Yeah.
planet. You and I all have variations of that shtick.
Yeah.
We do have a choice. To quote a dear friend of mine who we grew up watching the original Star Trek series, there's a Captain Kirk monologue in there, which is what was a Shatner, and he says, "Yeah, okay, look, we're killers. Humans are killers, but we can choose not to kill just for today. Your next meal, you don't have to eat any animal product whatsoever." So, all this dark shit is totally true, and I can go there with you guys too. I just find myself wanting to balance it, as you guys would if I was going. Well, maybe you would if I was going to rant, but we can be peaceful people. You can take that into your own hands today and choose to be peaceful in this way. And I love what you guys were both saying, your version of something I do, which I think a lot of vegans do, not only vegans do, but I used to live in the woods and there was a lot more animals around me. Now I'm kind of a suburban area in Marin County, but a highlight of my day every day is to go out and just like be with a squirrel, watch him. And as you were pointing out about the animals will be frightened if you come on. Most humans don't do something really bizarre and unusual, accessible to everybody, which is just to slow down,
Hmm.
get away from the machines, get away from AI, get away from the
Hmm.
cell phone. I have all that stuff, fun little toys, put all that aside and just go out and just be still. I was actually in some conversation with a Proud Boy, politically the divide, all the way on the other side. And he and I, yeah, we both love to go out into nature and just sit quietly, and the animals will come out, sensing that you're not the normal, crazy, revved up, busy human who doesn't even see them. And then the immediate benefit is to your own peace of mind and soul. That's, as you know, Gary, you've talked about this. I've seen you on a farm, which is an artificial environment, but you can be loving, and the animal brings you into your own heart. That's the great gift of all animals everywhere, including today in this dystopian, apocalypse that we're creating. Today, you can go out and, I'm a tree hugger too, so I can do the same thing with a tree. I'm really not normal. Just to be looking at a tree and near a tree and feel that. And of course, trees are where animals live. All of that, we can change the world one moment, one person, one community at a time.
I've gone straight edge, but last year, in the last few years, I put I put a couple bird baths in my backyard. I'd stand underneath the tree in the back of the yard, the mulberry tree, and I'd smoke and watch 20 or 30 birds come down into the bath, orioles and cardinals and blue jays and starlings and blackbirds and a woodpecker. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe a woodpecker actually came to the bird bath. It was one of the most amazing things. Or if I'm at Sasha Farm. I remember years ago I was mucking some shit in the field, and I turn around and Molly, the matriarch horse of this farm, the white horse, she's right next to me. How does a 1,200-pound creature sidle up next to you? I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know you were standing behind me. And she let me pet her face. It was just this magical moment. And those are the best moments of my life these days is when I get an animal. I was just walking out. I'm in Seville, Spain the other day. There's a teeny little cute puppy on the street, and I walked up to her, and she jumped up and licked my face, and I patted her tushy and gave her a little belly rub, and she was kissing me. It's like the highlight of my whole day. It's
Mm,
crazy that people don't make this connection with all the animals. And just so people know, it's not just dogs that do that. The cows
mhm.
and the pigs will do that too if you're lucky enough to get close to them and befriend them.
I'm
You-
hoping, Gary, we can keep leading you down this gentler garden path, which has always been in you, my friend. I mean, you got a both. We all have angel and devil, right? But I want you to. I hope we'll come back. You come back in a month, and we'll have this. And I want you to have the beautiful experience where you go. Gary Yourofsky says, "Oh my God, I didn't see and recognize you. I love you, little flea."
I love all the
There's
critters. I do. There's only one group of critters that kind of give me the heebie-jeebies, and it's spiders. And the universe wants me to befriend them. I let them live in my house now, depending on the size. If they're too big, I catch them and let them out. And everybody do that with insects. Do not smash the insects. They're allowed to live too, and they're wonderful creatures. I've been really fascinated with insects the last 5, 10 years too.
Mhm.
Actually, got to pet some grasshoppers in my backyard. We had these huge grasshoppers, and I got close enough. They let me pet them. I'm like, oh my god! There's a video out there actually somewhere. But the insect, the spiders though, they got 8 legs. They move a little too fast for me. I'm like, come on, guys, calm down. But I look at them when I see them on the ceiling. I say, you can stay. Just don't let me catch you crawling all over me. And you guys stay there. You could live here too. But the whole entire animal kingdom is spectacular and
I
fascinating
get that
if you
the
really.
the spider movement is a little unnerving, but when you stop and watch them, they are mind-boggling. And one of
They're
the other benefits of holding still, as Jack pointed out, I was going to go there myself. You go out into nature and you just hold still. Besides getting to actually witness the wildlife come out, you watch them long enough and you realize, holy crap, this thing is designed in a manner that I never really fully appreciated. I was like, look what it's capable of doing. And look how its different body parts allow it to do that thing that it's doing. And it brings me back to the human superiority concept is based, and our knowledge of other creatures is based on us having no knowledge of other creatures. We don't know shit about shit. And you apply this to what we eat and justifying treating other creatures the way that we do. Let's talk about the separation between cows and dogs. And it's like because somewhere in your head you've decided that you know about cows. You don't know a damn thing about cows, but you have decided that they're dumb or they don't feel pain or whatever it is that allows you to torture this animal. And it's based not on your intelligence, but your complete lack of knowledge. You don't know anything about these animals. And back to the intelligence thing, if in fact this is what the world looks like with the most intelligent species in charge, please could we have some dumb animals in charge? And with the intelligence thing again, how exactly does declaring something stupid mean it's okay to torture it? Can we start torturing the dumbest of humans now? Are they the top of the list of getting tortured? Do you think that they aren't going to feel it because of their IQ score?
Man, this is you brought up some things that I've preached about too. People would always say these horrible things about animals. Yeah, the cows are dumb. Chickens are stupid. Da da da. I would actually question them this way. I'd say, I'm just curious, how many chickens and cows do you know?
Personally,
And they'd always say, well, none. I said, oh,
oh
really? Shocking. You've never met them. So you're
yeah,
making
right,
assumptions on a group of beings that you don't even know. You want to talk about prejudice? You want to talk about bias? I said, are you crazy? Because I know hundreds of these creatures that you're belittling right now, and they're nothing like you describe.
yeah.
Nothing like you describe whatsoever. You've made up these ideas in your head, or they've been inserted in your head. Yeah, they can't think, they're stupid, they don't feel, they don't mind being tortured and killed for food. I mean, whatever outrageous thing that these people want to come up with, and they don't even know them. You want to talk about the mountain of prejudice behind speciesism. In fact, this is the biggest form of racism. People think it's a race, a white race versus black race. No, the human race versus the animal race. This is the biggest, most outrageous form of racism that has ever existed.
Yes, I want to call out a few people in the chat, just acknowledge a few people. We are doing a fundraiser here today for Sasha Farms. Skylar has the link to Sasha Farms, Animal Sanctuary in Michigan, Gary's Choice, which has been so important in his life. Paula is here. You've donated. Thank you so much. And yes, ants are so smart. Absolutely. I mean, ants, my God, separate conversation. I want to call out Ray Cooper again of World Peace Chocolate. He says the vegan's relationship with animals is our superpower. Love that thought. And then Ben Iserman, I met this guy recently. He's been doing AV cubes in San Francisco. I want to talk to you about that, Gary, at some point. But he wrote, somehow I figured out I should be nice to insects years before I realized I had to be vegan. Carnism is crazy. And Ben is just turned 22 years old. I met him just, I don't know, less than a year ago. And this young man, how's this, Gary? This is inspiring stuff, sat in front of me at a vegan restaurant called Rad Radish in San Francisco, an amazing place we'd love to take you to, hint, hint. And he said, yeah, I'm kind of ashamed. I'm kind of embarrassed. I didn't turn vegan until I was, oh, that's right. He said, I turned vegan so late in my life. Says a 21-year-old at the time. I'm so embarrassed I didn't turn vegan until 21. And I didn't turn vegan until I was in my friggin' 50s. So God bless you, Ben, and young folks who get this stuff early. It gives me hope and a little bit of optimism, rays of hope in this otherwise, sometimes dark days.
And speaking of ants, real quickly, not only are they brilliant, they're altruistic. I was shocked years ago when I saw a documentary that when there's a flood, thousands of ants will get together and lock their legs and their arms together to form a raft and give their life so they can bring the queen on top of the ant raft and they can float to safety. Do you think human beings, if there was a flood, hey, you think there'd be 10,000 humans volunteering to die for somebody else to be saved? Are you kidding me? They'd be fighting like hell just to be on top. They'd be killing each other to be on top of the raft. The ants are like, nope, we're going to give our life for the queen because it's better for the colony. It's better for our species and our population to do this. So the insects and the animal kingdom, I believe they have surpassed us in everything, including ethics,
And
especially ethics.
And the fascinating thing about the intelligence, the high intelligence and social structure of ants, what we humans do is say, oh, that's just instinct.
I hate that. I hate that.
It's actually really clever sophistry. You just dispense with it. You just label it something, and then, oh no, that no makes the argument because I've labeled it something that puts it outside the argument. Versus, look how intelligent they are. Oh my God.
When the truth is, everything we do is we're the ones that act on instinct. We don't think. We're robots. We're automatons. We've been programmed to do this. Programmed to eat flesh, blood, veins, muscles, and tendons. Things that come out of a hen's ass. Things that secrete out of a cow's tits. We are the ones that have been programmed, and we don't have free thought. The animals, and by the way, we have to come up with GPS technology to get from point A to point B. Go ask a whale or a shark or a bat or the animal or the birds or the butterflies that can go 5, 6, 7, 8,000 miles and get to the exact point that they're looking for. Are you kidding me? I used to get this criticism too. Oh, Gary, well, humans create symphonies. Symphonies, you mean with fake instruments that we had to create and people had to go to school for 10, 20 years to learn how to play? You ever hear the crickets and the birds make symphonies? Go outside at nighttime and listen to this natural symphony, and nobody taught them. It's natural for them to do all the things that's unnatural for us to do.
Yeah, but opposable thumbs and prefrontal lobe, buddy.
Yeah, right. And by the way, I would take beings with non-opposable thumbs if they were kind over ones with opposable thumbs that just want to pull a trigger or shoot a fucking arrow instead, right?
And for humanity's defense, since I'm the only one doing it sometimes here, is I'll take a person with a big heart any day over a person with a angry heart, and no matter how intelligent they are. Someone who's hurt, damaged, and lashing out at the world does a lot of damage.
And I was talking to you guys before we went live about Barack Obama. Now, listen, I know Barack Obama's got intelligence in some categories, but during his first term, when he was pardoning the turkey, like the hillbilly that he is when it comes to animal human relationships, the mic was a hot mic after he pardoned the turkey. He leans over to the people next to him and says, "Somebody better get that turkey away from me before I change my mind." So this is my point about no. I don't care how so-called, what kind of so-called intelligence people have when it comes to books or some technology or whatever it is, history. But when it comes to proper human to animal relationships, Demopublicans and Republicrats are one and the same. There is no difference between Donald Trump and Barack Obama. There's no difference between the Palestinians and the Israelis. There's no difference between blacks and whites and straights and gays. When it comes to proper human to animal relationships, nobody gets it. This is why I always wanted to preach to everybody. And I'm going to shock you guys real quickly. I wanted to bring this up. My best area to speak in, Texas. And I don't mean Austin. I never set foot in Austin. I went to Wichita Falls. I was in Denton. I was in Corpus Christi. The conservative crowds were my best crowds. Number one, they let me know where they stand right off the bat. All right. They said, "We don't give a shit about anything. Prove it to us." You know what? That's why I'm here. I want to prove it to you. Give me a chance. When I went to the left wing places, my biggest battles happened in California and New York because the left wingers thought they knew everything already. So when I brought this up and said, "Wait a
Mhm.
second, you guys are missing this whole angle about proper human to animal relationship," they said, "Wait a second, Gary. I recycle already. I drive a hybrid. What do you mean I'm doing enough?" No, you're not. And by the way, recycling, not even the most important R. Reduce and reuse, way more important. The only reason you recycle, because they made it fucking convenient. When I was a kid, we had to take the fucking stuff to the city hall once a week to the big bin. They weren't picking it up curbside. That's the only reason most people do this. But I'm telling you, the conservative crowd gave me their open minds. And when I proved it, and that was most of the time, they came up and said something like this: "I'm a right wing Christian conservative, and I gotta tell you, that was the best speech I ever heard in my life, man. I'm becoming vegan," and they shook my hand. I'm like, man, this is anybody's capable of getting it. So I want to let all the vegans out there know: don't just try to focus on one crowd. Again, nobody gets it. So anyone's capable of getting this. Texas, though, if I could have done it year round, I would have. I'm telling you. I
Actually,
just couldn't. I just couldn't pick up enough professors to do it, but I would have loved to stay in Texas 8 months a year.
to your point, you can cross the huge political divide these days by, hey, we can all agree, let's be kind to animals. It's a non-political issue. It's beyond and above.
That's my point. This has nothing to do with whatever you want to believe in, what music you want to listen to, what movies you want to watch. I don't care what beer you want to drink. This is about kindness and compassion, and everybody should be kind and compassionate, especially to the cows, pigs, chickens, and turkeys that have never done anything to us. Where do we get off thinking we're better than the victims? We are the victimizers of all victimizers, and we think we're better than somebody we've been murdering for 10,000 years, that we kill by the billion every year, or fish that we kill by the trillion. I don't even understand this mentality that we think we're better than those that we murder and torture and steal their babies. How
Gary,
could a baby
everything.
stealer be better than a mother that's having her baby stolen?
Thank you. Everything that isn't kindness and compassion comes with excuses not to be kind and compassionate. And it's like, do you ever stop and just listen to the basis of what you're saying? You are coming up with reasons to be a dick.
I don't.
Why? Why don't you embrace the idea? Oh, wait a minute. There is a path for me to be better. And everything that comes out of the mouth is an absurd, ridiculous excuse. And this is probably why a lot of us vegans end up being antisocial, because you can only hear the same bullshit so many times.
Listen,
Once you,
it literally made my brain melt. I know you guys have heard me say that my brain has melted to this day. I don't think my brain works like it used to work. I don't even know what we're fighting about anymore. Again, I'm asking you not to rape, torture, kill somebody else who has never done anything harmful to you, and I'm getting pushback. You're making up excuses to do it. I don't even get it. I don't even understand the mentality of humans anymore. And it seems like we're getting worse. I don't know. It depends on which day you ask me whether I have hope or not.
Hmm.
I'm feeling hopeful these days. I've been hanging out with Anonymous for the Voiceless and Paul Bashir. Carmen Canesa is now my social media manager, my soulmate. I'm feeling alive again in so many ways. But it really depends on which day you ask me whether I think we can achieve animal liberation completely. I'd like to believe it, but I don't know. And then I think about the cell meat industry. It's probably going to happen in a way that nobody wants it to happen. I would like to have society have a collective awakening, right? The conscience of our society. I think the cows and pigs and chickens and turkeys are going to be liberated because the cell meat industry is going to come into play, and these stubborn fools in the meat, dairy, and egg industries are going to realize they can make a lot more money by doing it that way than doing it the other way.
Whatever
I'll
works.
take it though. Listen, I'll take it. If this is how the abuse is going to end, I'll take it.
Whatever
Well,
works.
now we have to switch the conversation to the abuse of the domesticated animals and the abuse of the wildlife, because as
I get
humans
that
are
too.
looking
There's
for
still going to be other
excuses to
issues.
be
Don't get me
assholes.
wrong. I
Yeah,
just
no,
like to
now
me, I want to
without
focus on the 98% of all that abuse, all that exploitation. But you're right. Dogs and cats are still going to be at play, and all the animals in vivisection are still going to need to be saved. The circus animals are going to need to be saved. The ones in the rodeo, the horses in the horse carriage industry. But at least we can eliminate the biggest problem that way, and then we can focus on the other ones and hopefully succeed. Although again, when it comes back to hope, 29 years I've been vegan. I can't believe there are still horses being hooked up to carriages with bits put in their mouth. I'm in Seville right now. They're in 100-degree weather for 12, 13 hours a day, tugging around fat, lazy, stupid people who think it's cute and romantic to be pulled by a horse with a bit in his mouth. I can't believe product testing still exists after 29 years. I can't believe the circus still exists with animals in it, to be honest. Horse racing, dog racing, there are things to me that I thought would be abolished by now, which is why I did lose hope along the way. Man, we are an incorrigible species. I don't understand us. Could be choosing compassion, but we choose to exploit instead.
A couple comments in the chat. I'm listening to what you said, but there's so much going on here in the background. I want to call out Corinne Leese, a fiery vegan activist I've gotten to know recently. And she writes, compassion is intelligence. Love that thought. I also want to shout out Leah Wilborn, another fiery vegan activist who's been working with me a lot and talking with me a lot and helping shape my thinking. Goes back to the politics point. This is why I don't want to bring politics into animal rights. We'd lose half our audience. And to the point is we don't need to.
someone asked for the link. How do I donate to Sasha Farms?
So
It's up
yeah,
on the screen right now, and I also put it in the chat.
so that's a little tricky. Is that a hyperlink when people click on givebutter.com there? Is that a hyperlink?
Well, that's why I also put it in the actual comment
Okay, great. And
section,
this is, I
not
just
just
want
on
to
the
shout out,
banner.
I just want to recognize all these people who are coming on here. Mike Rupena, he's actually in charge. He works with Paul Bashir, and he's in charge of the San Francisco chapter of Anonymous for the Voiceless. That a couple other people here, including Ben and there's one more, Mike Dahlin also are here. They're all from the Cube. So I do want to, when I stop my little soliloquy here, I do want to ask you whether we can ever entice you, coax you, bribe you with a plane ticket, get you to San Francisco for a visit and do a Q, possibly.
Yeah,
These are
you
great,
could.
great people.
Absolutely.
Love to have you. It'd be really, really exciting to have you on the streets here in San Francisco.
We'll do that. I promise you next year. How about that? Next year, because I'm going to go to the Cube in New York City. Paul, I don't know if he's announced it, and I don't know if I just gave it away, but the next big Cube of Truth is going to be 2 weeks in New York City sometime next year. We can make that happen, man. I got to tell you, I have a lot of hope now that I've been hanging out with Anonymous for the Voiceless. I was in Cologne, Germany for 31 days. I was in Amsterdam for 10 days. I am blown away by what Paul Bashir and everyone else has been doing, and Oliver and Lucy and the whole crew and Thomas. There's so many amazing activists I met on the streets. Fabian, God, they're just soldiers. They would approach people and convert them in 2 or 3 minutes. Now, For me, I'm not great at that. I left the streets for a reason back in 2000. I'm showing my ancient age again. I had not been on the streets for 25 years because I realized I needed 60 minutes to convert people. And you saw what I did with 60 minutes over the years. But those 2, 3 minute interactions, especially when they're talking back at you, but AV, man, they are preaching. I haven't seen shit like this in my 29 years. I think they're the most fabulous education based group on this planet right now. So everybody should go join the Cube of Truth in your city. And guess what? If you don't have one, start one. Do it. Start it up and learn the protocol. Start asking people, should humans be exploiting animals? Do you think it's possible to respect animals if you eat them? Put yourself in the victim's position. And
Mm.
what Paul told me that he did, he said that they took my speech and condensed it down to a few minutes. Now, what was funny was when I was out there preaching in Cologne and Amsterdam, I wasn't following the protocol. I admit, I'm the OG. I'm allowed to do what I want. I'd venture off into my own thing. And he pulled me aside and said, Gary, why don't you follow protocol? I said, yeah, but I'm reaching these people this way. He goes, yeah, but there's a protocol and it's yours. Now, but hold on, you guys will appreciate this. It actually reminded me of the Back to School movie with Dangerfield when he hired Kurt Vonnegut to do a book report for his English class on Kurt Vonnegut and he failed and he calls him up. He says, and another thing, Kurt Vonnegut, you don't know the first thing about Kurt Vonnegut. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, I don't remember my protocols. You don't understand. It was so long ago. I'm just in a different state. He goes, but it's your shit. I'm like, Gary Yourofsky, you don't know the first thing about Gary Yourofsky. But AV, man, was kicking ass. I loved watching these guys in action. It was a pleasure to be with them. And I'm hoping to prop them up and hope that they get some funding and some support so they can keep on going forever because AV is kicking ass right now.
I'm so glad, Gary, to hear you getting more love. I mean, you really, I said this earlier, but you deserve it. You've done a ton of work and contributed so much and made these all, a teacher who then has all these students, and then the students run off and create, well, potentially even more students, of course. It does expand. And in your speech, you're holding the kids in the audience accountable. And that's one of the key words of one of the protocols of AV. I mean, I've only done a few cubes, but I get their stuff, and it's incredibly effective. And it's back to a point that Leah Wilborn again made in the chat earlier, which I didn't read out, which is I was saying the power of your words and your presence, your passion, your emotion, your veracity, all that's true. And you also showed 4 minutes of footage from the worst of, as you said, the slaughterhouse. I really do believe for most people, not all people, I will leave some room there. For most people, it's necessary to see it because it transcends words. It goes to heart and feelings connected to people's connection to the animals. There's one guy on here I know, actually the World Peace Chocolate guy, who's doesn't love the footage. He kind of begrudgingly acknowledges that it does work for most people. For some people, they're so enlightened, they don't need to see it. Like you, I've never seen Earthlings, all of it. I've never seen all of Dominion because I
Can't watch that
cry
shit.
watching the fucking trailer.
I got to tell you though, I wouldn't do a lecture unless I could show it. And even the professors would say, Gary, but you're so graphic and you're so descriptive. You're such a great speaker. I said, you don't understand. The human mind will
Mm.
not let you grasp the atrocity that's going on unless I show it. No matter how graphic I am, you're going to think I'm exaggerating and I'm aggrandizing. I have to show this. And that subdued nearly everybody at that. Now, I subdued them as I started to get to that 15-minute mark. But once I plopped in that slaughterhouse video, man, then I had nearly all the crowd ready to listen. They wanted to hear everything. So it was necessary for me to actually show that stuff. And listen, to keep in mind, I had to watch that shit 2,660 times. I wasn't gonna walk out of the classroom and make them watch it. So it actually riled me up. It made me sad, made me angry. And sadness and anger are okay, but just channel it into an effective message. That's what I learned to do. Because listen, my heart was broken. There, I was teary-eyed, but I'm like, man, straighten up, say something strong, make them understand. So I used it, and then I learned to channel my sadness to later on. So when I got in the car after the lecture, I'd let out some tears and think about what I just fucking saw. But and there's nothing wrong with crying either. The reason I didn't cry in front of the class, I had to maintain composure to explain the message. I couldn't just stand there and weep, especially when I'm dealing with a superficial society and a lot of guys who want to see a strong person up there. So, and that's also why I worked out every fucking day of my life. I like working out, but not every fucking day. But I did it because guys would come up and go, "Oh man, you're a pretty big vegan. Oh my, I didn't know vegans could be big." And in my head, I'm going, "You fucking ignorant little fucking like I have to be at the gym at 5 in the morning to get you to listen to this class at 8:30 every like it's just it was
But it's
nonstop."
a hurdle. It's a
Yeah,
hurdle to get over. You don't have to
yeah.
deal with that stupid argument if you present yourself as a physically fit person. But please address this counter argument with the graphic footage. How many people's brains, as an escape route, say, "Yeah, but my meat doesn't come from that. My meat comes from the good
Sure, a lot of people
slaughterhouses
would
or
say
whatever."
that, but then I was able to explain killing is killing. A slaughterhouse is a slaughterhouse. It's a house of slaughter. Is there a nice way to rape? Is there a nice way to rape a child? And then I'd even come up with example. Wait a second, you can use a condom. You can give them an Xbox after you raped them. You could take them out to the amusement park later on, or how about I did this on the Israeli media show with Kobe Maidan. I said, "Are you telling me that if I met a woman and I was whining and dining her, took her back home, put on some Teddy Pendergrass music, we slow dance, I slipped her a roofie, she fell asleep, and I raped her? Well, there's no pain." Where's the pain? But rape, the act of rape is evil. The act of
Mhm.
child molestation is evil. The slaughterhouse is evil. Chopping somebody's head off is evil. Stealing somebody else's baby is evil. So I don't care how animals are treated along the way. The fact that we think that they're ours to commodify and exploit, that's the crime. That we think we're better than them and that we could cut them up into pieces, especially when they're babies. Something I've been pointing out lately to people. Humans
Mhm.
aren't only animal killers.
Mhm.
We're baby animal killers. We kill
Mhm.
chickens at 6 weeks. We kill pigs at 6 months. Cows at 2.5. Who kills a baby animal but a sick, disgusting two-legged devil? Why do we choose this path when we can choose to be compassionate and kind instead? I really don't understand it. I don't. The longer I live, the less I understand our species.
You
How do we not
understand it.
only
It's brainwashing, cultural conditioning. That's your
I know.
explanation. I know you're asking rhetorically out of frustration.
That's what it's just, it's cognitive dissonance at its finest, man.
Skyward, I got to grab the stage one more time because I want to give you and I have put together the Skyjack thing that we do. This is our 40th show, by the way, FYI, because of your being a filmmaker. We are visual learners. We're evolutionarily designed to take in things through our eyes. So you can lie to somebody, but if you show them something, what they see dominates. So this guy made a film. I don't know whether you were aware about the issue in Point Reyes National Seashore, which is a little national park here north of San Francisco. And there are thousands of cows, private cows, inside a national park. And as a result, they brought in a herd of elk years ago. Those have been fenced at the behest of the cattle operators. And there was a big activist movement to remove the private cows from a national park and then free the elk who don't have to be behind a fence because the cattle ranchers don't want the elk on their property, even though they sold. It's confusing, a longer story. I don't need to go into the whole thing, but blah, blah, blah words. Skyward made a 90-minute documentary about it. That's how I became aware of the issue and became very involved as an activist on that issue on the ground, doing stuff, not just doing the meetings, bloody meetings, which you so enjoy, Gary. So shout out to Skylar as a filmmaker. And then I'm going to hog the stage one more time, if I may, Skylar. I would love to, since our dear guest here, in honor of Gary, who keeps talking about rape. Oh my God, would you be delicate and sensitive, please? I would like to, on this show, and I don't know whether you can stay a little bit longer here, because I'd love to keep talking, and I won't hog the stage like this.
Shocking to me that you have the audacity to make fun of vegans when you guys jack off cows and other animals. You guys jack off animal. I never once in my life wanted to jack off an animal, but leave it to the meat, dairy, and egg eaters of the world, and those in the vivisection industry too that also do that as well. Jacking off animals, and they think that vegans are insane and they're sane. This causes brain melt to the
they go to
nth
church?
degree.
They go to church shortly after doing
Yeah,
that.
and then they go to church and thank God for giving them the permission to jack off his animals.
So I'm done. I'm good. Thanks. Hey, bye.
And by the way, I guess a good time for the vegans of the world, speak up, speak out. It's time to get active. Don't accept a walk-on part in the war for a lead role in the cage. Okay, get on, do it. Don't turn down. Don't exchange a walk-on part in the war for a lead role in the cage. It's a Pink Floyd lyric. The one regret I had for all the preaching I did back in the day, I was just converting people to veganism and not vegan activists. So right now, too, for
Mm.
all the Gary vegans out there, just all the vegans in general, it's time to speak up. You can't rely on a few people to do this. This Holocaust is too big. We're talking about tens of billions of land animals being killed and tortured every year on this planet, trillions of marine animals every year. We all have to do our part somehow, some way.
And I would say when you do, you find like-minded, kind-hearted people who have woken up from the delusion of our society, and you find community. You won't be alone. People really need community. We are also, as much as we can separate and be antisocial, we are also, most of us, wired to be social creatures. So you can find fellow vegans who become more sensitive, commune with animals, and not do them any harm in community.
It's getting easier too. With our self-importance and our intelligence, it's humans seem to need to go eat in front of other humans at restaurants and things like that. So there are now more and more vegan restaurants. Not as many as you would think out here, as Gary pointed out. The California is actually quite behind in many regards in that, but it's improving. But it's not peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. It goes way beyond that. It's actually pretty darn good eating,
Let
and
me tell
it's
you something. Back in the 90s, when I was on the road, if we stopped at a Subway and got a salad on a bun, we were like, holy shit, a salad on a bun. So no one has an excuse anymore not to
yeah,
indulge in all the amazing vegan food that is out there. And even if there aren't a lot of vegan restaurants, okay, nearly everybody is vegan friendly these days. So the options are everywhere. Don't forget about the ethnic foods, Indian food and Middle Eastern food. Half that menu is going to be vegan.
yep.
You can find it every Asian restaurants, Thai food. This vegan food is everywhere. You can do it. Don't make an excuse anymore. It's not inconvenient these days. If you were around in the 80s and the 90s like I was, okay, it was a little more difficult, but come on. Nowadays, there's no excuse. Don't fall back on habit, tradition, and convenience anymore. Horrible excuses. Not that there are any good excuses, by the way. Never heard one. I'll tell you what, though, you guys would appreciate this, and I know I haven't got to mention this yet, and I've done about 30 podcasts. Do you know, only 2 times was I silenced during a Q&A session. You probably heard the one time the seventh grader told me what happens when I go home tonight. My mommy and daddy says I can't be vegan. The
Mm.
other one was I was at East Carolina University. It was an older gentleman, a retired Marine, going to school to get his degree. And during Q&A, he says to me, Mr. Yourofsky, I actually have nothing to argue with. You've presented everything perfectly. I can't argue one point with you. But what makes you think we fucking care? We're a bunch of violent monkeys.
Mm.
To which I would,
Sad
it's
but true statement, huh?
sad but true. And you're telling me a story. I get the privilege of looking at the statement afterwards. I would turn to him and say, "But you care now.
Yeah.
You care now."
It wasn't just about him. It was the sentiment that he put over at me at that moment. I'm like, my God, we're a bunch of violent monkeys. Good Lord, he's fucking right. What makes you think we care? Let this, yeah, brain melt again.
Day at a time, choice at a time. And you're a 30-year vegan or something. And
29, yeah.
I know I've met others along the path. Now I'm new. I woke up with Cowspiracy in 2014. That was just the beginning for me. It's barely a decade ago. Hope Bohannic is an amazing vegan activist who's 30 years vegan. I met Will Tuttle, World Peace Diet, 40-year vegan. And they remind me the word vegan didn't exist out there in the culture. I mean, the word existed, but it didn't exist in the culture. We didn't have the
Not
word.
only that, back when I started, I had to teach people how to pronounce it. It was vegan. People were saying vegan when I started.
My
We have,
my joke is it's the weird, those weird vegans. They're from that weird place far away off Earth, the fifth brightest star in the sky, Vega. They're vegans. That's where
Hmm.
they're from.
Is there any chance that we aren't actually the violent monkeys, though? Because there's so much enjoyment and so much fulfillment when you're kind, and that you get so much joy when you feel kindness from another, not another human, a non-human. Like there's so much fulfillment when a puppy jumps up on you, or when an animal in the wild comes and recognizes that you're not violent, you're not one of the enemies. God, that feels better than being violent, and is in fact the reason that we are such violent monkeys, that we're torn up inside with confusion and frustration, living an existence that we are not meant to be living.
And that's some eloquence there. It's true. I don't know. You know what? The longer I live, the more I think some people have a compassion gene. Or we all have a compassion gene, and that gene is just so buried in most people that it's impossible to dig it out and flick it back on. Now, I had a lot of success going in those classrooms and flicking on that compassionate gene, so it can be done. But sometimes I think either it's way too buried, or some people maybe just don't even have it.
If you had to guess, Gary, to that point, just make a percentage up. The number of people in the world who, when they look at that footage, the footage that you show, the slaughterhouse footage, the truth of what's being hidden by our society and by industry, they feel, oh my God, that poor animal. What percentage of the human population thinks they look and actually feel compassion when they see an animal suffering like that in a slaughterhouse?
Even if they don't change?
Correct.
Wow, I'd say well into the 90% range. If they're just going to feel sad, yeah, most people feel sad when they see something horrible.
You know,
But very few people act and change their life when they see something sad and horrible.
I agree, and that's the frustration part. But I just want to focus on the first part of that. Gary, the great Gary Yourofsky, who's spoken to way more people than I will ever live. How many? Over 90%. You think people feel something?
Yeah, I do.
So for me, choosing to be an optimist, and I was thrilled and surprised by by Skyler saying what he just did a minute ago. But that actually that's the hope I choose to focus on. That we just have to uncover that truth that's inside them, that they do care.
So the hardest thing then is not making somebody feel sad. It is, how do you eradicate apathy? That's
Yeah.
that's the thing I've been trying to figure out. How do I get people to care, to go out of their way to care when you have to change your life to care? And I tell,
You
and
said
listen,
it.
every time I had an argument with somebody, the first thing, you want some truth? The first thing that went through my mind was, I wish I didn't know. Life was so much easier when I didn't care. When I only
Mm.
cared about myself. Boy, it's easy not to care, but it takes some effort to care. Now, I say this, of course, I wouldn't take back all the knowledge and all the compassion that I have now. But yeah, when in that initial moment of the confrontation, it's, man, I wish I didn't know. Everybody used to love me. Before I was vegan, I was the shit. I was the life of the party. I always had the weed, don't get me wrong, but I was the life of the party. Then all of a sudden, Gary became vegan, and everyone's like, oh, Gary's a dick. Well, what happened? Well, Gary likes pigs. Wait, what? Gary likes chickens now. He always talks about chickens and pigs. What the fuck? I extend some compassion. Everybody hates me, but I don't care, and everybody loves me. This is the weird dichotomy in our society right now. And then, yeah, how do you make somebody care? How do you make somebody not apathetic? I wish I had that magic formula.
I can answer that
I,
question. I can answer it precisely. Curious?
Yeah,
There's no one way. There's no one perfect way for everybody. So
it's
all of
true.
these different, all of those vegans get together and activists get together, and Leah's in there in the chat saying it's not enough to be vegan. You got to speak up. I agree, but it's not for everybody. But we should encourage them just the same.
Yeah.
And for some people, it's pictures. For some people, it's words. For some people, it takes time. For some people, it's a good vegan cupcake. We don't know. Everything that people feel passionately, as you have, my friend, compelled to do, go do that. And therein lies your own joy and happiness and expression. Was it Edward Abbey said, passion without action? Passion without action is the ruination of the soul.
It's true.
And we don't know what's going to work. You are the poster child for doing something from your heart. I'm going to go back to where we started. As Skyler is, and you don't know where it's going to land, it may have no effect, or it
And
may
but
change the
it
fucking world.
It's so true. And listen, I used to do public speaking classes. They'd ask me, "Oh, tell me how you set this up and what did you do?" And you paused here. I said, "I just spoke from my heart." I do a philosophy class after Q&A. "Oh my God, who did you study? That deontology section that you used and Bentham." I said, "I never studied philosophy and I don't even know what deontology is, and nor do I care. I spoke from my heart." Who cares? I speak from my heart. This is passion pouring out of me. I'm speaking for them. I'm their mouthpiece. That's why it works, though. So definitely speak from your heart, be passionate about it, and be truthful. I'll tell you what, you got to be truthful. And I don't care how you're truthful. You don't have to be harsh. You don't have to say Holocaust. You don't have to make slavery comparisons. You don't have to say rape. But you do have to be truthful and hold people accountable. You have to explain the injustice that's going on. That is a key that I did figure out along the way. And that's from all the students and the professors who would tell me, "Man, we never heard somebody so open and so honest. You're so truthful about everything and you're going to answer." And I held people accountable. Now, I felt comfortable making Holocaust and slavery comparisons. I felt comfortable calling people Nazis at times. It didn't matter, but I don't care how you want to speak. I just want you to speak. Or I don't care if you want to serve people vegan food. I think that's great activism, to be honest. And there were times on the road when I had people in that city who knew I was there. And Linda Bauer out in Miami, she said, "Gary, can I bring a bunch of food to your class at Miami-Dade?" Hell yeah, you can, because right after my lecture, everybody is willing to eat some plant-based food. So we bring them the mock ribs. We bring them the vegan cupcakes. And they go, "Oh my God." I remember one class back in Michigan at Oakland Community College. It was one of those 3-hour night classes on a Tuesday, Wednesday night, 6 to 9. It was such a good class. I ended at 8:15. The professor said she needed the last 45 minutes. And they were so good. I said, "Guys, I'm going to come back in about 20 minutes just before class ends." I went down to the Kroger store. I bought some Tofutti cuties. I brought them back to the 25 students. And I said, "Everybody, at the same time, unwrap this." And they're all like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "Just trust me. And listen, don't do. You know I want you to become vegan, right? Okay. Do you think I'd feed you something that wasn't going to knock your socks off?" Now, everyone at the same time take a bite, and they all took a bite and gasped. "Oh my God, what do you mean this is vegan?" I'm like, "Guys, what is in your mind? You think we eat cardboard?" Okay, I'm trying to give you the best. Now, listen, not every vegan item out there is wonderful, but stop acting like every meat item you had was wonderful. I used to eat meat. There are nasty pizza places and nasty hamburger joints. You guys set the bar for vegan food so high, it's like we can't get over it. It has to make your knees buckle. You have to break out in a cold sweat. Stop it. If you had a bad veggie burger, maybe you just had a bad veggie burger. Go try another one somewhere else. Like back in the day, you didn't like that pizza joint. You went to that pizza joint. You went to this steakhouse, not that steakhouse. So it's yeah, I don't care what the form of activism is. Feed people plant-based food, preach and give a lecture, hold a sign, join the AV Cube, do something. Contact the media outlets, do something. Don't do nothing.
Make
Doing
it
nothing has never changed the world. I know that.
and make a donation right now, folks, if you're moved by Gary's talk, as always, to Sasha Farms, which is in Michigan, the largest animal sanctuary in Michigan, correct? In the
It's
state,
actually largest in the Midwest. Yeah.
the Midwest. And that's where you first fell in love with some animals, farm animals. Is that right?
1996, I went vegan. Somebody took me down there. I'm like, "Oh my God, I had never seen a cow before." And if I did, I was too young to remember. And it was probably at a petting zoo. It wasn't even a proper environment. It was wonderful to see animals in their own habitat, doing their own thing, not no one demanding anything from them. If the cow wanted to sit under the tree all day because it was a hot, sunny day, he could sit under the tree all day. He wants to come up and take an apple. He wants a belly rub. He wants to say hi. Like all these critters can do whatever they wanted to do. And that's what I love about sanctuaries. And I am disappointed with the vegans out there that aren't supporting sanctuaries enough. They only have us. They rely on us. Now, I do think meat, dairy, and egg eaters should be forced to take care of sanctuaries. There should be a tax on meat, cheese, milk, and eggs. But right now, that's not reality. Okay, these rescued animals only have vegans to rely on. So give the money, because there's a mentality out there right now too, saying, "Well, it's kind of a not great way to spend money, giving it to a sanctuary. Better ways to spend your money in education based activism." Well, listen, education is the best form of activism, but sometimes charity is just charity.
You said that.
Sometimes you just give it because somebody needs help.
You said that a few times. Where is that coming from? There's some folks
I've
in the
heard
vegan.
that.
Yeah, there's a term. I don't know if it came. I don't think it came from the anti-sanctuary movement, but it's called effective altruism, where
Okay.
they claim that all your donations should only go to the best form of activism. Well, I don't agree with that. I don't find it to be effective or altruistic if you deny sanctuaries money. These are animals that have been caught in a tornado of hell for thousands of years. There's only a few thousand worldwide that have escaped our slaughterhouses and our, all the horrible places, the feedlots and the battery cages and the factory farms. And then we're saying, well, I'm sorry, it costs too much money to buy hay for a cow for 20 years. Why don't you go look the cow in the eye and say, I can't come up with a couple $100 to feed you? Bullshit.
Thanks for
I think they deserve everything. I don't care how much it costs.
Thanks for explaining that. I literally did not understand the argument, but it's sort of, there's only so much money and you want to give it to the most efficient place, and there's not an efficient way. For me, that's a scarcity mentality, as if there's not enough money in our culture. I mean,
Right.
whatever, a few years
Or
ago,
listen,
every person,
give most of your money to the best place and then set some aside for pure charity.
well,
Sometimes you just help somebody even though there's not a great return on the investment. Just give it to somebody that needs it, and cows, pigs, chickens, and turkeys need it.
but it's even more than that, Gary. It's even, I mean, there's no demerit to it. Meaning, I went to Animal Place in Grass Valley, which is not far from the Bay Area. It's the closest sanctuary, 2 hours away. When I saw Cowspiracy, and I was going into the world of veganism in every direction. I toured a dairy farm, Strauss Dairy Farm, the good one, and saw what I was shown and wasn't shown, bovine electroejaculation. I went to Animal Place and like, oh my God, I didn't understand it until I went there. They're ambassadors, as you know. I'm not telling you don't know, but I'm just saying I don't even understand the argument. It's not effective because people get to say, oh, wow, they see a cow, as you're saying, in a more natural, not confined or subjugated environment. And then they connect with one cow and it changes that person forever. How can that not be incredibly effective? I don't understand the argument.
I don't know. I got to tell you, somebody I know who started it. I could drop a name. I don't know if I want to. I don't want to infight
Yeah,
anymore.
it
But
doesn't matter.
but a big name in the movement told me back in mid 2000s that sanctuaries were a horrible investment, and he started convincing everybody. And now they're all suffering. That there's horrible donations going on to sanctuaries all over this planet right now. It's because of this ridiculous, effective altruism mentality that
You know,
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't either, and I would debate the argument. I don't need to bring the person. It's not ad hominem.
Yeah.
It's not about. It's the idea. Like no,
That's why I don't want to say the name, but I can't believe that he was
Is it a
successfully
musician?
convincing. No, it was a vegan. It was an activist. Somebody I used to get
Well,
along with
so
too.
is it.
It's just I thought I blew it off like it was just him theorizing about something. I didn't know he was serious about convincing everybody. But again, who says 100% of your investment has to be perfect? I don't care what you're doing. Even if you're in the stock market, you're not putting 100% into the best thing. You're putting most of it. Then you take some chances. Like, well, let me give a chance over here. I'll throw something over here. Same thing with sports gambling. You're not always making the best bet. Sometimes you're making a parlay. Sometimes you're making a futures bet because the price is right. Whatever it is, you never do 100% perfect investment. Just do mostly perfect. So yeah, 80-90% of your investment should be in education-based activism. But like we just said, there are different forms of activism. Don't forget about the AV cubes. Don't forget about lobbying. Don't forget about contacting the media. Don't forget about direct action, civil disobedience, and the sanctuary industry. They deserve a little piece of the puzzle too. Nothing deserves 100%. Now, when I started in 2002, I also was pushing for education-based activism. And I was, and back then, if you had the pie chart, it was like 2 to 5%. I wanted it to be bigger, 75%, 80%. And we've gone a lot that way, and that's great, but I never said 100%. But everyone's like, education, education. Look what Gary did. I'm like, okay, look what I did. Yes, but don't forget about the other stuff too, especially the sanctuaries. I mean, if we're going to go out and convince people not to harm animals, animals are going to need to be rescued and be placed in a sanctuary. You can't forget about that piece of the puzzle. Don't do it. Don't do it halfway. Get people to stop harming, and then the animals that need a home go, well, fuck them.
and for
Costs too much. Just
and,
kill them.
and for the non-vegan audience, as you guys well know, we also stopped breeding them and creating so many of them. I mean, that's people like, where all the millions of animals go? Like, well, we first stopped forcibly creating so many.
Yeah, we
Like,
could actually get rid of it in 1 year. I don't know any animal that has a gestation period longer than a year. So if we just made it illegal to electroejaculate and artificially impregnate, we can stop the whole industry within 1 year.
or Oregon, oh God, IP, oh shoot, IP 28, Initiative Petition 28 in Oregon. I do want to give a shout out to this gentleman. I'm blanking out. Leah, will you put it into the text? So, do you know about this in Oregon, Gary? So, it's a very simple ballot initiative in the state of Oregon, statewide, just to remove the exemptions of animal cruelty to the other industries that have exemptions. It would change everything. It's so simple. And the argument against it that the industry has to say is, no, we need to be exempted from being cruel to cows, pigs, chickens, and turkeys. It's brilliant.
Well, listen, do you know? So in 1966, so this is my problem over the years with doing stuff with lobbying. Now, I've changed my mind a little. I do see a lot of value in certain forms of legislation, but the Animal Welfare Act of 1966. This governs the entire country. I used to have a copy. I used to show it to the students in Q&A. It actually says that animals in the meat, dairy, and egg industry are not animals. That's quite a piece of legislation. That's quite a loophole. So all the animals that we abuse aren't animals, but the ones we don't abuse are animals. That's basically what it says.
I want
So
to go back to your point, but I want to, Skyward just highlighted an amazing contribution here from young Ben Iserman, who does AV Cubes. I met him recently. He just donated $500 to Sasha Farm. And he
thank you,
writes,
thank you, thank you.
Ben writes, love your style and your work, Gary. I have one question. You've had a certain productivity for, I think you mean productivity for controversy, or proclivity for controversy. I think the controversies are overblown, but aside from that, how important do you think your public image is for the vegan movement as a whole? For you to develop a public image, is that, I know you don't care about it, but he's asking, is it important though? Are you acknowledging, or your opinion?
Well, sure. Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with my image. That's why I'm so successful. Professors would clamor to bring me into their classrooms, and these were not vegan professors. The media clamoring to bring me on, and in most cases, the media was pretty damn good with me over the years. The only people that seem to have a problem with my image seem to be some vegans who want to put an imaginary halo over their head and worship at the altar of humanity, the intersectionalist vegans. Other than that, most people love me. I have more enemies in the movement than outside of it. So I don't think I have an image problem whatsoever. I think everything I do works, everything I say works, and other people might not like my style. But again, listen, there was Dr. King and Malcolm X. Let me bring this up. Do you know how many times Dr. King was asked to stop Malcolm X? Dr. King said, "Don't ask me to stop Malcolm X. Malcolm X will stop when racism stops." So for the people in the movement that don't like some things that I say the same thing. Don't ask me to stop Gary Yourofsky. Gary will shut up when you guys stop exploiting and killing animals. I'd love to disappear. I'd love to go away again and never be seen again. I'm not looking for the spotlight. But as long, and keep this in mind, I'm not a representative for the animal rights movement.
Thank you. Yes, exactly.
Okay, I speak for the animals. I don't speak for other vegans. Now, I hope most vegans support what I say, and a lot of them do. I speak for cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys, and fish, and goats and sheep, and all the other critters. I speak for them like I would want to be spoken for if I were in their position, and that's why it works. And let me say one more thing about the professors. I used to get a lot of shit back in the day from vegans who said, "Gary, you shouldn't make Holocaust references. You shouldn't say Nazi. You shouldn't say slavery." I said, if the professors, the meat eating professors, keep bringing me in, why do you care what I say? Do you know that they would bring me in so much? I had 10 or 12 that would use me as a substitute teacher. They would contact me before the semester and say, "Gary, I got a conference on February 18th. I don't want to cancel my class. Can you come give your lecture that day and you can take the class?" Do you know the famous Georgia Tech speech? Professor Hans Klein. I had not seen the man in 4 or 5 years. He used me as a sub. That day that it was recorded, he gave me 180 students and said, "It's yours. Do with them what you want, what you always
Mm.
do." So I don't understand the vegans that have a problem with me when the meat, dairy, and egg eating professors, and God forbid I say this, thank goodness for meat, dairy, and egg eating professors, or I wouldn't have a lecture tour. The vegan
Mm.
professors rarely brought me in. They
Interesting.
thought it was biased. Oh, I can't bring you in, Gary. I'm vegan. They're going to think it's biased. I said, what do you mean? Bringing me in evens it out. When have these kids ever heard a lecture about veganism? Never. So the image is fine. I got no problem with my style. And if you do, well, oh well, what can I do? I mean, you know what?
He
Some
did.
people
He
like
did
Led
clarify.
Zeppelin, some people don't. Some people like the Who, I don't. Some people like the Stones. I hate the Stones. I
Oh
like
no,
Judas
Gary,
Priest. I like
no,
Judas Priest. I like
no.
AC/DC. I like Queen. I like Zeppelin. I need oomph. I like Stevie Ray Vaughan. I think, but who cares? Like, there's enough people like the Stones. You want to like the Stones, like the Stones. I don't care. I can't please everybody. Just
I'm going to
know
draw a
that you're not
line.
going to be
If you,
pleased with everything somebody says. We brought it up earlier with George Carlin, right? George Carlin has he's this brilliant mind, brilliant philosopher, and he doesn't understand the environment issue or veganism. He never became vegan.
Yeah.
I'll give you a cute little story though. After he died,
Skyler has something to say.
I'm,
I got to
I'm sorry.
define.
I'm sorry.
I, I was just trying. I got to draw the line. If you don't like Led Zeppelin, there's a problem.
I
You
agree. By the
can't.
way, I agree. Just so you know, I just threw that out there. You know what?
Because
Maybe I
you're not
should have used
stirring up
Zeppelin.
enough
But
shit, Gary. You got to stir
a-
And
some
yes,
more shit up.
Ben was in fact talking within the vegan community.
oh,
So
was he?
he
So
just clarified his earlier
I don't know what to
donation
say to
statement.
this vegan community that just wants to rail on me and rag on me because I won't worship at the altar of humanity. And by the way, when I say fuck human rights, which I've said several times, people don't even understand. I'm paying homage to George Carlin, who my favorite bit is when he does the fuck the children bit. He says, I'm tired of the kids getting too much attention. Save the children, help the children, feed the children. You know what I say? Fuck the children. Now, do you really think Carlin meant fuck the children? He was being sarcastic. He was making a point, and that's what I'm doing. I understand that there's humans being oppressed, but I no longer care about people who are demanding life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness when they turn around and deny life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness to the animal kingdom. I
Mm.
now believe that animals should be put first and humans should be put last. And all I've done is flip the script on the
Script.
human rights people. They're going humans first, animals last. I say animals first, humans
And
last.
there's some that say humans both. And I say, I choose. God bless you in your opinion and your choice. I choose, like Gary here, not my hero, a guy who I am impressed by in many ways and is human as the rest of us and is flawed and fallible as the rest of us. He knows, and he'll nod to that. I know the guy at this point now, but I choose to speak for the animals. That's my choice. If you want me to speak for humans, I hear you. I acknowledge the request. It's a legitimate request, and I choose my way. We each get to choose our own way.
And go look at my old speeches, even the Georgia Tech. I used to speak for humans. I wish people would understand the reason I am so anti human is because humans made me this way. I didn't
Mhm.
start out this way. Go look at 1992. Go online, punch in my name, punch in the words Declaration of Misrepresentation. 4 years before I became vegan, I wanted to be a rapper. I had an anti racist rap. I was preaching about human injustice before most of these people were even fucking born. Humans made me hate humans. Humans melted my brains. Not
Yep.
the cows, not the pigs, not the
Yep.
chickens.
Amen.
Humans have forced me to see the true face of humans who are selfish, who don't care, and choose to be cruel instead of choose to be kind and non exploitative. So please understand. And if you don't, I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. Come see me in 29 years. Can you understand how deep that this goes for me? Come see me in 29 years after you've been reaching out and preaching and teaching, and
Mm.
most of the people aren't converting, or more animals are being killed now than when I started in 1996.
You remind me, Gary, what you feel, and I know this about Skylar too, who can, be prickly and bristly on the outside, but I know it comes from anger and from hurt because of the deep
Frustration.
love and underneath that, the deep love and connection you guys feel to animals, which is not normal in our culture. I mean, cats and dogs, yes, but for the all animals. There are people who are gushing here in this post, on this feed, on this podcast about spiders and ants. Someone says they love rats. Someone else wrote in here, Corinne said she loves cockroaches. I mean, for me, that moves me. That's why it's both a curse and a blessing. It is both a curse and a blessing in the society to feel as we do in our hearts for all the other non-human animals in this beautiful world, this Eden.
I don't even think you can separate them, because if you're putting animals first, non-humans, because we're all animals, non-human animals first, then you're probably going to, if you can get to that point, then you're probably going to have compassion for people too. The people that complain about being compassionate to the creatures that are more helpless than humans probably don't help humans either, or probably are on the path to making an excuse to treat a human wrong for another excuse. If you in your heart are finding reasons not to be compassionate and you're applying that to a non-human animal, you're going to find an excuse to be a piece of shit in other ways too.
This reminds me of that point. Will Tuttle, I mentioned him before. He really, his shtick, books and CDs and lectures. He also tours, as you do, and speaks to a huge number of people. 40-year vegan, actually. Will Tuttle with his wife Madeline, the World Peace Diet. He's the first one that planted a seed. Like, you're the one, by the way, that planted the seed about, it's fair to compare. I'm Jewish. It's fair to compare what we do to animals to the Holocaust. It's fair. And then I actually started reading and Eternal Treblinka and really got educated. It's more than fair. Will first planted the seed that how we humans treat animals is actually not indirectly, but directly related to how we treat each other. If you learn to treat humans better, your heart can open and perhaps, not necessarily, but perhaps now be more open to animals. And if
Yeah, I'm
you're
going to flip it though. See, to
world,
me, so they've been trying since Pythagoras, 2,600 years ago, to achieve human justice, human liberation with very little success. I say the paradigm is horrible. It needs to be blown up. They need to do it the other way.
animals first.
Speciesism. You destroy speciesism at its root, hatred at its root, which is speciesism. Then you can teach people to be kind to other humans who look and act differently. If you teach a child to be nice to a mouse, a spider, a cockroach, a chicken, or a turkey, how can they look to their fellow human in anger and hatred and prejudice? Because right now, you can teach people to be kind to different colors and shapes and sizes of human beings, but it doesn't translate. They're still not getting the kindness to chickens and turkeys and spiders and mice. I
That's
say
because
the
they're being taught.
paradigm is horrible and it needs to be blown up and flipped.
I don't disagree with that. We're actually, as we were talking about fish and our fishing fathers, we were taught not to be kind. Stop the conditioning of society, the brainwashing of society. That's the Dr. Melanie Joy. Why do we love dogs, eat pigs, and wear cows? That was another eye-opening book for me. Like, oh my God. It's scary. I'm 65. I'm a senior freaking citizen. And it wasn't until I was in my 50s that I began to wake up from the haze of the culture, covering my own compassion and what we have created in our society. So stop teaching the bad thing. And, as you were saying with children, you start out innocent. Just don't ruin that. Don't pervert children. My God.
And that's all we do is lie to these kids, man. It's nonstop and everything. It's not just that we don't tell them what they're eating, that they're eating their animal friends and all the animals that they love and all the movies they watch, but everything, Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy. The whole fucking thing is a lie. And how about this lie? How about now parents need to be telling their kids that they are special. To them. In 2014, when I was just fed up with everything, I knew I wasn't going to be lecturing after that year. I think I opened up my speeches by saying, "Your mommy and daddy lied to you. You're not special."
Oh.
To the world, okay? You might be special to them and you should be, but not to the world. You're not special to the world. Stop it. But the parents don't clarify that, so this is why people feel entitled to everything.
I
People walking around, I can do whatever I want to do, say what I want to say, eat what I want to eat, make fun of whoever I want to make fun of. It's because people feel entitled because of that. Oh, you're so special. You're special.
although I was raised in New York, Gary, let me throw you some California at you and see how you handle it. There's another way to approach that same conundrum, and I understand the problem you're addressing. You can say, your mommy told you were special. Hang on, she was right. You are special. But so is Carol's mommy told her she was special, and she's right. She's special too. You're all uniquely special in your own way, and you can see other people and other animals as all special, not unique. You're not the only one who's special, but it's it's rejiggering that, so it's more from. I mean, I'm talking to you, man. I just appreciate the chance to connect with you this way, even though we're not in the same friggin' room. But it's.
I'm going to change
I know
things
you've
up
got a
for
big
just
heart. You've got
for
a big
just a
heart.
moment with Ben, who was a big donor earlier. If you want to read his comment, Jack.
Sure. Yeah. Benjamin says nothing. Thank you, Skyler. Nothing wrong with human rights activism. It's good work. But in the context of our push for animal rights, I think we lose effectiveness by insisting on a unified intersectional message.
And he goes on with
Especially
more.
when they don't give it back to us. That's what I got tired of. We are involved in an abusive relationship right now with the human rights movement. They demand everything from us. We have to be pro gay, pro trans, pro black, pro woman. And don't get me wrong, we should be, except they turn around and go eat meat, cheese, milk, and eggs, and they're anti animal. They're anti everything we stand for, but we sit there and want to take the high road. You know what I say? Fuck the high road and fuck the low road. Take the road less traveled. Do what I'm doing. Trust me, after 29 years, stop kowtowing to the human rights people. You demand that they do it our way. Then we'll join them again. I'll join them again when they start becoming vegans. I'll join them again when they want to destroy the meat, dairy, and egg industry, and the leather industry, and the vivisection industry. Because right now, they demand, if we ever got together, all of us, we had representatives from every single group. Think about this: the gay rights movement, the black movement, the women's movement, and the animal rights movement. We sit down at a table. I could not say I'm opposed to gay marriage. They toss me out. I could not say that a black person shouldn't be given the same job opportunity as a white person. I could not say that a woman shouldn't be paid the same salary as a man. I'd be kicked out. But they could sit there and eat a hamburger. They could have cowskin shoes. At the table of peace, my God, they can violate every aspect of peace. But that's okay. But the animal rights people have to do what they say. This is what I say to them.
God, you're a
I'm
fucking.
tired of it. I'm tired of it. They're
I
taking
know.
advantage of my clients.
I
They're
see that.
taking advantage of everything that I believe. It kills me, man. This is they're gonna kill me. The human rights people are gonna kill me.
This is as I see you, my friend. Speaking adult, senior to senior, this is your curse and your blessing. You're a
Yeah.
friggin' howitzer. So they put you up and talk about animal rights, and you're a freaking howitzer who's going to blast through the audience and open their minds up. But then I say, well, someone comes to you and says, well, we want you to speak for human rights. Instead of just saying, no, that's for you. I'm going to speak for the animals. You're like, you're an animal. Fuck human.
But I did it. I did it for all those years, and I got stomped on, man. Do you know that I did a speech in 2006 and 7 for 2 years. I would spend 5 minutes of my animal rights speech. You can look this up online too at Deerfield Academy. 5 minutes talking about the genocide in Darfur. I was trying to bring it in and make the connections at every turn, and all they ever did to me was say, "Oh, thanks for bringing up the Darfur genocide, but no, Gary, this veganism's not for me. Yeah, they're just cows, they're just pigs." And I'm telling you, listen, 99% of vegans are pro-human rights. 99% of human rights people are anti-animal rights.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not aware. Yeah, I mean, it is.
I'm on the right side of this, and posterity will bear testimony that I was right. No, but listen, I'm always ahead of the game. I'm telling you, you're gonna mark my word. Again, come see me in 29 years, and you're gonna go, Those fucking human rights people, man, they just don't bend. They don't budge at all. I got to do everything they say, and they don't do anything for the animals or the earth.
Animal
If
rights is the bottom line.
I'm seeing in the comments a reference to you saying "fuck human rights," and I'm guessing. I mean, look, Jesus, as many talks as you've given, if I'd given that many talks, the number of things that slip out of my mouth that I'd be getting crucified for, I can't even imagine. But I'm guessing, as a person who is of compassion, you don't truly mean fuck human rights. You mean fuck the people who preach about human rights who aren't being
Yeah.
kind to non-humans. How
Listen,
about compassion for everything, and we can go from there?
yeah, and listen, just because I'm and understand my misanthropy. Okay, it doesn't mean that I'm throwing rocks at kids on a playground and tripping old people walking down the street. I'm saying fuck human rights in the same way Carlin said fuck the children, and in the and in a aggrandized way of hating our species. It's our species that I can't stand. Individually, I like most people. If you saw me at LA Fitness in Royal Oak, Michigan, you can go there right now. You can call them up and say, hey, the bald guy that comes in the gym every morning, the vegan dude, does he say hi to everybody and know everybody at the gym? Does everybody know Gary? I walk in the gym. Hey, Adrian. Hey, Big John. Hey, Mike. Hey, what's happening, everybody? What's up, Leon? What's up, Kat? I know everybody. Everybody knows me. I'm friendly to everybody. Hey,
You're
Chris.
nicer
What's
than
up?
I
I
am.
know everyone at the gym. I'm nice to everybody. So understand this. This is a message that I am trying to put forward put forth on behalf of my clientele. We will never succeed in this animal rights movement if we worship at the altar of humanity. This is a sober assessment after 29 years. What is preventing us from succeeding? And nobody wants to hear it. It's the human rights movement. It's the human rights activists that come for humans first, animals last. Animals don't get talked about already, but man, you bring humans into it, they'll never get talked about ever. And I got to tell you, I saw gay rights succeed during my lifetime. Literally saw it through that three stages of truth: the denial, mockery, and acceptance. I saw them getting their rights to marriage in most parts of the world, at least definitely in America. And then I was so excited when this happened. I said, oh my God, finally, we're going to get to the animals. Oh my God. And then guess what happened? Trans. Now the trans people. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. There's another group of humans we have to take care of first. And by the way, after the trans people obtain their rights, so what's next? The hermaphrodites? You're gonna bring another group of fucking people in? When do we focus on the cows, the most abused beings, the chickens? 40 billion chickens are killed every year, and we can't focus on them. There haven't been 40 billion human beings oppressed since the beginning of time. It's always another group of humans. Wait, the humans first, humans first, humans first.
So
I'm
you're saying
tired
these are
of it.
distractions. These are distractions from moving forward with what we need to have moved forward with a long
Yeah.
time ago.
And wouldn't the world be a much better place without animal agriculture? For the animals' sake, for the earth's sake? But no, we want to help. It's every group of humans. Oh, this group, that, another group, another group. And by the way, if it was even true, this you know this comment that we always get when we talk about, well, what if a slaughterhouse had human beings in it? It'd be a travesty. And people go, yeah, but they're humans. When the reason that that statement doesn't work, but they're humans, that would mean that every time humans are oppressed, humans would understand oppression. Humans don't even understand human oppression, for crying out loud. Why is there a gay rights movement? Why is there a trans movement? Why is there a black rights movement? Why is there a women's rights movement? I thought we understood oppression against humans and that it was wrong. So again, the paradigm is shot. The paradigm doesn't work. You're never going to achieve human liberation if you focus on humans. I know it sounds weird, but you can only do it by destroying hatred at its root, and the root is speciesism. You teach people to be nice to chickens and turkeys and mice. You watch them be nice to each other. Because if you can be
Mm.
nice to a chicken, how could you not be nice to a gay person, a black person, a woman, an Arab? Run down the list. A Jew, it doesn't matter. Teach them teach them to defend and protect the animals, the weakest out there, and then you're going to achieve human liberation too. But you're not going to do it the other way.
Isn't it interesting how it's easy for everybody in the world, and I'm happy about this, to say, may all beings be at peace. we should love all beings. Everybody agrees with that. And then, of course, enter the human realm and our wonderful minds and our twisted psyches and all the rest of our challenges. When you try to put that into practice, we have there's a lot of arguments going on right now about government. And for me, I'd throw in blah, 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 blah. This is the mess we're in, right? As human beings in these societies, which are complex and tangled. And this is my other concern is I love the fact that we've been going for 2 hours and 15 minutes, taught all these different topics. I wish there were more and longer conversations like this with nuance and complexity, not any one simple truth that comes out of it. Oh, love and peace, too general to be helpful, and not more 60-second TikTok videos where stuff is amped up and contentious, but nothing can be resolved, in my humble opinion. And I used to write advertising. I would write 30 and 60-second commercials to sell crap in my 20s before I decided I wanted to do something more meaningful with my life. That also is my concern is, can we just, it's the Rodney King thing that touched me so deeply years ago, which was ridiculed for this beautiful, heartfelt sentiment. Can't
We all get along? Yeah. I don't know. It's like we're incapable, we're incorrigible. And I'm tired of the lip service too. How about that? How about the peace on earth? Every holiday season, peace on earth, as they're sitting over a murdered animal that had their head
Mhm.
chopped off, as they mock vegans and veganism. I mean, I said it
Mhm.
during my speech. I think I had a section where if you think you're going to put a coexist bumper sticker on your car, or wear a "What would Jesus do" bracelet, and that makes you a good person, are you fucking out of your mind? Or how about all the religious people that think all you got to do is accept whatever Messiah and all of a sudden you're good? Don't you have to act like a good person and be a good person? But you go talk to religious community. No, just accept Jesus, accept Muhammad, and you'll be fine. That's all you got to do. Accept them. I don't even know what that means. Accept them. Accept them where? What? I don't understand. I mean, I wish I could rewrite every holy book and use a 4-word commandment and a 2-word phrase. Thou shalt not kill, be nice. That's what all religions, that's what the book should be. Thou shalt not kill, be nice. Why are these the most difficult concepts for humans to grasp?
And back to what I said earlier when I sort of defended the New Testament, Jesus says that. Love thy neighbor as thyself, be kind. That's what you're supposed to take from it.
God protect me from your followers, as the bumper sticker says.
Exactly.
Yeah, Jesus. It's modern Christians nailed the coffin on accepting Christianity. I'll tell you.
By the way, after
Uh,
watching Christspiracy, I came up with something else. I realized that not only are humans thieves, which I already knew, we all know that, we steal everything, right? We steal the animals' lives, we steal their babies, we steal their flesh, we steal their skin, we stole their Messiah. Jesus was born where? In a
Hey,
manger, in a
manger in a
barn.
barn.
So who lives in a barn, humans or animals? So he was born around the animals. That's where he was born. And what was his last act before he was crucified and murdered? He opened up the cages to let the animals free at that temple where he also got the
All
money
right.
changers out. So he was killed for being an animal liberationist? Shocking. So he was born in a barn, killed for freeing animals. You know what else we stole? We stole their Messiah. He's not the human Messiah. He's the animal's Messiah. He came to save them. And all we do is use his name to kill them, misuse his name to harm them. And again, that's why, like I said earlier, if Jesus ain't coming back, because if he came back, you'd kill him again once he said, be nice to his animals. And every time a religious person kills animals, they're killing a piece of God and whatever
Thank you.
Messiah they want to accept.
Thank you.
Have
God's
you noticed
creation.
that humans only worship things that humans made in God's name?
totally.
Churches, mosques, synagogues, the Quran, the Bible, the
I,
Star of David, the rosaries. But everything that God made, people shit on and kill. They kill his animals, they kill his forest, they pollute his air, pollute his water. Everything God created, humans hate, and everything humans made in God's name, they love. Stop with the rituals, religious people. Stop worshiping inanimate objects. Worship something animate for a change. Something God
Amen to
made.
that.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a Christian friend from childhood who, whenever I, known as a tree hugger, I mean, really tree hugger, like, and he would say, Jack, but that's the manifest. God is the unmanifest. And I'm like, God, I thought God was all of it. All of it. The distinction. It's so interesting. And of course, now we're talking philosophy and like blah, 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 words. What does it matter? I look at a squirrel and I'm in my heart in love. So you're God to me. I choose to call you that. If you want to call God a white man in the sky or whatever, like, God bless you. Enjoy. I'm going to go over here and do it this way. We'll both espouse our stuff in the world if we're espousers, which, you're preaching, my friend, here as a vegan activist, showing your true colors. Beautiful. People will be drawn to you if they're meant to go down that path. And I hope they are.
Yeah, and people need to stop worshiping a book. It's just a book, man. And by the way, this book is full of so many contradictions. That's why most of my religious arguments ended up in a scriptural battle. And I could go toe to toe with them. They were shocked. I said, when do we just go beyond the scriptures, and when do we just be a good person? We can do this all day. Proverbs 12:10, a wise man cares for the needs of his animals, but the kindest acts of the wicked are cruel. Hosea 2:18, in that day I will make a covenant with the animals, all the beasts of the field, the birds of the air, bow and sword I will abolish, so all may lay down in safety. I mean, how we can go back and forth with all the scriptures, and I say, why do you choose violent scriptures when you can
Hmm.
choose peaceful ones? Do you know what
Thank
I
you.
did once? Here's a story for you. New Jersey City University. I used to have premonitions for some reason before a lecture. And as I got to this lecture, I said, some woman is going to argue the Bible with me today. So have something ready. And sure enough, I get to Q&A. Firsthand, she comes up with all the Bible shit. So I start doing the scriptural game, and she accuses me of being biased. Gary, you got to accept the entire Bible. You can't pick and choose. I said, well, wait a second. You're picking and choosing? She goes, no, I'm not. I said, yeah, when I said my scripture, you said your scripture. Because I'm guilty as charged. She wouldn't accept it. I said, oh, okay. And I wanted her not to accept it. Actually, this was part of my plan. I said, can you tell the audience what Timothy 2:12 says? She says, no. I said, no, I didn't think so. Can I tell you? Women should be silent in front of men. They should sit and obey and be obedient. Shut up. Now, I did this on purpose. So I said, shut up to her 10 times to get her mad. Shut up, shut up. And I was loud. Shut up, shut up. Because I knew she was going to say two different things. That's different. And things change. I'm telling you,
Hmm.
when I had these I knew what people were gonna fucking say. So I let her go, and she's like, "La la la, how dare you talk to me like that? Da, 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 that's different. Da 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 da, how dare you? Da 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 da. Things change." I said, "Okay, time up, time up, time up." Okay, I just want you to know, I don't accept that scripture. I don't think any woman should be silent in front of man. Okay, you shouldn't have to ever be silent in front of a man. But you said a couple things that interested me. You said that's different. Why? Because you're the victim? The
Thank you.
rest of the crowd was getting it. The professor was like, that's good stuff. And I said, but you said something else to me that was even better. You said, there was two other words right at the end, and I wanted her to say it. Now, she said it better than I envisioned. She took her fist, slammed it down. She goes, I said, things change. And she looks up after she bangs her fist. I was already there, arms folded. I said, okay, they sure do. So when do they change for the animals?
Mm.
Extrapolate.
When do you let go of this archaic 1,000-year-old belief system that animals don't count, that humans,
Mm.
that dominion means torture and kill instead of protect and care for?
Mm. Hmm.
Now, unfortunately, she didn't get it. She didn't get the point I made. The rest of the class did, though.
Really?
The rest of the class got it. The professor loved it. Afterward, all the students were like, "Oh my God, you made so much sense." I don't know why she. I go. Some people are unreachable,
Also,
but
when they're in it, she could look back at a recording of that and see it. But sometimes you're in it,
maybe,
and you can't see
maybe.
it. Yeah.
But a lot of times when I made points like that, students did get it on the spot. And you're right. Maybe later on she got it. There was another, I had Valley Forge Christian College. One of the best things I ever came up with. We were doing a scriptural battle and Q&A. And I kept getting the crowd, losing the crowd, getting the crowd. So I could be dramatic. You've seen me today. So I stand in front of the class with my hands up in the air, arms up, and I'm silent for about 60 seconds, eyes closed. I heard them whispering What's he doing? What's the guy doing up there?
Right.
I was waiting for them to shut the fuck up, is what I was doing. So they finally shut up. And during the 60 seconds, I said to myself, I'm going to come up with every horrible thing I can think of that humans have done to animals. And I'm going to preface each statement with, if God says it's okay. Now, I want you to know, I didn't know where I was taking it. I rarely did. I knew I was going to end up in the right spot. This is the faith that I had. So I said, if God says it's okay to rip the testicles out of baby pigs, if God says it's okay to beat elephants in the circus to make them perform, if God says it's okay to ejaculate cows, right? I did this for 3 minutes, everything I could think of. And this brain worked a lot better back then than it does now. And then after 3 minutes, top of my voice, I said, if God says it's okay to do all this, then what does the devil do? And instantly I said, holy shit, that's some good shit. Don't ever forget that. And then the Reverend Bruce Marino was in the back of the room. That was his class. He's standing with his arms crossed and he shook his head and he said, everybody give Mr. Yourofsky a round of applause. A little fire always shed the light on the darkness.
Mm.
Half the crowd, as usual, came up to me and said, in the name of Jesus, I'm going vegan, man. You made sense. And the other half was like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. You're out of your mind. And that's what I didn't understand either. How I can give the same speech, make the same comments, and have half the crowd get it and the other half not. Back to my image stuff. It's not my image, anyways, that's going to make somebody get it. It's them. It's not on the messenger. It's on the listener. If I could give the same speech and half gets it, half the crowd doesn't, it ain't my fault. It's their fault. They're not listening. They didn't want to accept the message. If nobody accepted my message, I would take the blame and say, man, I got to change my image. I got to change my speaking style. Maybe I shouldn't say Holocaust. Maybe I shouldn't say Nazi. But I was half successful. It wasn't me. I learned over the years it wasn't me. I remember at University of Akron one day, I used to do multiple lectures every day. First class called me Timothy McVeigh. No joke. Q&A. You're Timothy McVeigh. I said, wait. The guy that blew up the Oklahoma City building? 168 people? That's what you think of me? You're just like Timothy McVeigh. Next class, they told me I was Gandhi. You're like Gandhi, the Gandhi of animal rights. I told the crowd, I said, do you know what the first crowd told me? I was Timothy McVeigh. They didn't get out of here. I'm like, they called me Timothy McVeigh. How? It's not me. It's not my image. It's how everybody wants to perceive the message of animal rights. Some people are willing to listen. Some people are open. And some people aren't, no matter what you say. You can be as, how about this? Over the years, people would tell me, Gary, be extra sweet. You should be really sweet. And then I would say to them, I'm curious, with your sweet ways, are you always sweet? They're like, yeah. I said, so how many people have you converted to veganism? 0 or 0?
Mm.
They'd say, well, yeah. I said, so you just think I should do that? Even though I'm converting at that time tens of thousands, now hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, but I should do it a different way that doesn't ever work. You just sit in a boardroom and theorize and go, if Gary did this, I bet you it would be more powerful. It doesn't matter. And there are days, by the way, there were days I was as sweet as Gandhi. I wasn't always harsh. I wasn't always militant. You catch me on the right day, I'm super, super sweet. Catch me on certain days, I'm upset, I'm super harsh. The result was never different because of how I was. It was always them.
To thine own self be true. You do it your way. And I think of Will Tuttle again. He's in my head as a contrast to you because
He's
he's
opposite of me, right? Exactly. And
and
I wouldn't ask Will to speak like me, and I hope Will wouldn't ask me to speak like him.
no,
And I
he's
like Will. I love Will. I think he's a great activist. I think he's a great dude. Who could not like Will Tuttle?
and this is, I guess, if I have one little agenda here, speaking, in vegan community, is, why can't we all just get along? Which is to say, I understand why it's not that simple. I'm not that naive, but we can.
No, but it should be. No, it should be that simple because we are allowed to have disagreements without canceling each other.
Exactly.
I
It's getting
apologize,
along.
by the way. I put out a video on Instagram. Go check it out. I put it out, and it's about me apologizing for all the infighting that I took part in. I was the king infighter. I take back every moment. And I went to battle with Ingrid Newkirk and Paul Watson, the biggest names. I was completely 100% wrong. We should just be allowed to do things the way that we think is proper without canceling somebody else, without being vitriolic. We can have tactical differences. And that's fine. And we can explain them in a peaceful way without saying, you suck, you're evil, get rid of Gary. He says this about humans. Just say, hey, you know what? Gary's one hell of an animal rights activist. I don't really care for his opinion on humans, but hey, he's one hell. And guess what? I don't want to be a human rights activist. I didn't sign up to be one.
And I say, along with what you're saying, I agree 100%. I would add, supplementally, and let intersectionalist vegans be intersectionalist vegans and preach for human rights too. Fantastic.
By the way, I would let them. They're the ones not letting me and anyone else do it. That's the problem. I don't care if you want to do your human stuff, but why do you attack me constantly and make me do what you want to do?
So that's
You want to do it together intersectionally? Fine. I don't have to. I
correct.
don't want to.
Correct. And actually, Gary, I mean, I so wanted to have the conversation I want to have with you over a beer quietly, not on a hot mic. You know, it's just a whole different thing. Because people are saying, "Oh, get him to do this or get him to apologize." It's like, you don't.
Why?
No. My point. Well, they're trying to make peace. I understand the motivation, but people don't work that way. You've got to reach people. Like I said, I spoke for 3 hours with a friggin' Proud Boy, and at first we argued the politics of Trump, or he's a monster, he's the angel, whatever. No progress was made, and then we were with a professional mediator. And this was 3 hours. We're not even 3 hours yet. I was 3 hours with the Proud Boy. And then we talked about our childhoods and our fathers and fishing and being with nature. You know, later he's also a vegetarian, by the way, Proud Boy vegetarian. And it's like we connected, and then we could reach each other across the divide of our politics. And the same thing with the vegan community. We all agree, let's treat the animals well. So however we are able to do this, and this is naive, idealistic Jack preaching or begging, just tone it down. Just tone it down. In which, you know, you've got the howitzer, man, which is your beautiful weapon for peace and for love and for the animals. So don't go to Gary and say, here, have a butterfly net. Gary, like, no, I'm using a howitzer, man. It ain't going to work for me.
And I love butterflies too, by the way.
And you love butterflies. I know that's.
But by the way, do you want to hear something really sad though? If I apologized the way they wanted me to, you know damn well they still wouldn't let me off the hook. They never let it go. But you once said this, but you said this. I mean, 1997, I made that essay, Empathy, Education, and Violence, where I wished that every human being who committed acts of cruelty suffered acts of cruelty. They won't let the comment go, and they don't even understand that the context it was put in. That comment about the women in fur coat being raped. I also said that children should shoot their fathers accidentally while they're hunting. How come nobody ever screamed about that? You want to know why? Because nobody ever read the essay. I said that sometimes I think the most effective way of destroying speciesism is for each uncaring human to be forced to live the life of a monkey in a laboratory, of a cow on a feedlot. And then I said, I wish deep down that oppression returns to uncaring people tenfold. And don't get mad at me because I'm good at being mean. I was trying to be mean. What was I supposed to say? I hope a woman in a fur coat hits the lottery. Hope a woman in a fur coat runs into Brad Pitt at a bar at 2 in the morning and falls in love with Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt falls in love with her. Are you fucking kidding me? I was trying to be mean. But nobody brings up the other mean things I said because they just want to attack and destroy people that are out there making a difference. That's all I ever did was make a difference for the animals, regardless of if you liked every word I said. And I've said now with all my podcasts, all my lectures, I've said at least 1,000,000 words. So how many words do you really disagree with me on? What? 5,000? If that? 1,000? So I could say 900,000, 990,000 plus words perfectly, just like you wanted. But oh, that 1% of things that Gary said, I'm never going to let him off the hook. He's evil. Are you kidding me? All the words I said, you're going to pick on one sentence?
So
And one position I have now on humans, which I didn't start out that way. It doesn't make sense to
So
me.
I totally agree, Gary. And to your point, I had a vegan activist long time. I completely respect this vegan activist saying you really shouldn't have him on. Don't platform him. And so here was my response. I mean, I wrote back and I said, appreciate your point of view. Respect you very much as an activist. I respectfully disagree. And here we are. And it's okay. You
I
get to
know.
yeah,
And
exactly.
by the way, what seriously, what it's not like I'm going out and killing gay people and lighting trans people on fire and putting fucking burning crosses on black people's fucking lawns. Are you kidding me? You act like I'm out there harming human beings. And for the record, let me throw this out there. I also think all the people that talk about human rights just do that. What the fuck does talking about an injustice that's not in your city or your country do anyways, but put a fake halo over your head? Oh, the Israeli Palestinian issue. Unless you live in Israel or Palestine, your fucking opinion doesn't mean dick. It
I
doesn't
think
mean
that the
shit.
Hang
I
on,
think
hang
that the
on.
I stand with Ukraine signs that I saw
Right.
littered around
What
town
what
made
does
a
that
big
mean
difference.
unless you're going to Russia to stop Russia from fucking attacking Ukraine? Of course you're, and by the way, it's more talk,
I
talk,
I
talk,
think
talk.
I think talk matters. Talks makes a difference. Action is more. I'm with you. I'm a fellow activist. I'm not as fiery as you, but I go out there and be with people. It's the most powerful thing. Words do matter, and you, my friend, do, as you know. Yeah, those days of doing what you did are behind you when you were young in your 40s and 30s. Now you're, I mean, it's so funny to watch you. You're like, yeah, my brain melted, you say, and I'm taking time off. And you're doing what, 2 or 3 hours every friggin' day talking to thousands of people, man? You are as fiery as ever, just an older, calmer version of yourself. And God bless you for being out there to do that. But I also think your words matter because, you have great
Okay.
power with your
And
voice.
by the way, then let me put out some new words that people don't know. My current position right now in the Israeli-Palestinian issue,
Oh boy, here we go.
they're both fucking petulant children. And I'm tired of the Jews and the Muslims been fighting for thousands of years over a piece of land, over somebody's invisible man in the sky. They're both fucking wrong and they're both petulant children. What I want to know, I don't care who's right or wrong anymore. I want to know who's going to cross the border with their hand out and their arms open, hug it out, shake it out and say this: I'm sorry. Can we start over? Because nobody forgives and nobody forgets. And this goes on, and I'm tired of people thinking there's a right side. Whatever I said earlier, I was wrong. There is no right side because they're both fucking wrong. They bomb somebody, then they bomb somebody. They kill somebody, then they kill somebody. And the killing's been going on again for thousands of years. When's it going to stop? And I don't mean a piece of paper, a signed peace accord. I mean, when are they going to walk across the border and say, can we be brothers and sisters again? All humans, can blacks and whites just say, can we stop this? Can the cops stop killing black people for speeding or for passing counterfeit $20 bills? Can men stop raping fucking women and children? When is this evil shit gonna stop? It's not my fault that all this shit goes on. If it were up to me, I would demand compassion. I'd be a compassionate dictator. I would make it a goddamn law that you had to be kind to everybody, not just the animals. So don't blame all this human rights shit on me either. This is all you guys. This is all the humans I thought that understood humans and peace and justice. Humans are incorrigible. And I'm tired of not pointing it out to people. I'm tired of people walking around with rose-colored glasses on. Humans are great. Humans are the crown of creation. Everything revolves around humans. Humans are brilliant. Humans are fucking immoral agents. Immoral agents. Whether they have the capability, I don't know, maybe. But right now, they're immoral agents everywhere I look and all throughout history. Every time I read about it, they've been oppressed, they've been killed, they've been raped, they've been tortured. This isn't Gary's problem. Why would anybody blame me for what's going on in the Middle East? You think and if I took the side you wanted to, do you think it would change?
Gary,
Really?
Gary, you remind me of later day Carlin. You watched him toward the end, and he was
He was
just
the best. But Carlin wasn't brilliant until he became mad at the world. Until he put out "You're All Diseased." For people out there, go listen to the "You're All Diseased" stand-up routine. That's when Carlin became brilliant.
he got. I mean, he was always brilliant, and he has the oratory gifts you do, or you have his gifts because I guess he came first, and the humor and all that. But man, he did get Carlin for me was advertising, organized religion, stuff like that. Instead of the hippy dippy weatherman he started with, but he
I
also
hated the hippy
toward the
dippy.
end, I understand him, but boy did he get bitter. So I was looking for
I'm
a clip.
bitter. There's
I
bitterness. There
know.
is.
You
There
were
is.
just doing a bitter rant, man, and I wanted to like cry and give you a hug, which I can't do on the internet because you're a squirrel lover. You're a fellow
I
squirrel
know.
lover.
By the way, I spent the last 7 years protecting caterpillars. Erica and I literally rescued 500 of them. We would go outside and find the eggs and the caterpillars when they were a centimeter big before the birds found them. We put them in an enclosed environment. We fed them fennel and parsley and dill. Every day we had to change it because they ate it. Then we watched them cocoon and then we set the butterflies free. Listen, honestly,
God damn, he was. I want to set the butterfly. Oh, God
I
damn,
do.
I want to
This
set
is
the
what freaks
butterfly.
people out about me. And by the way, if you were sitting next to me, whenever anyone's sitting next to me, I was just in Amsterdam speaking to a group of attorneys. This woman, Belle, picked me up in the car, and after she was talking to me for the car ride for the half an hour to the place, she goes, "I expected somebody different. You're like really nice and really cool." I said, "Oh, you mean you're not scared of the tofu terrorist? You're really afraid of me just because I speak my mind and I say what's on my mind, or I don't say things that people want me to say?" Listen. Do you know Erica and I were married for 15 years? We got divorced a year ago. Do you know 8 to 10 times a day she had to yell at me, "Will you use your real voice?" Because I baby talk all day long. I'm like, "How you doing, baby? What's up? Oh my God, did you see the squirrel outside?" She goes, "Gary, can you use your fucking real voice?" I go, "Oh, I'm sorry. How was your day today?" And I'm a goofball. And thank you for pointing out the Carlin stuff. If people only knew. I admire George Carlin more than I admire fucking Pythagoras. Carlin shaped me. Larry David and Mel Brooks shaped me. I consider myself to be a comedian, although I'm not as funny as those guys, but that's who I grew up on. That's what this is where it comes from. So people don't even understand my background and they want to condemn me. I'm just doing Carlin.
Did,
I'm
did,
just being cynical.
did you grow up with? Did your father have a sense of humor, by the way?
Oh yeah, in fact, I remember. We're gonna go back in time. I remember convincing my dad to put the 8-track tape in of Red Fox, Richard Pryor, and Buddy Hackett.
Oh, lucky you! You grew up. I grew up before 8-track tapes. We weren't so lucky as to have 8-track tapes. We
But
just
listen, yeah,
the record and
my
flubbed the
dad was a
needle on it.
character. My dad was a character. He was a goofball. Always told jokes. This is. I'm always performing. In fact, I'll be honest with you. I think most people only keep me around in their lives for the entertainment factor. It's just a wait. You won't believe what happened to Gary today. You won't believe what Gary said today. It's just the entertainment factor. Just look at me, by the way, everybody. I'm just entertaining, okay? Just ease up. Okay, most of it's comedy, and then don't take everything so goddamn seriously. Even when I say fuck humans, what I'm saying is flip it. Okay, animals first, humans last.
Explain
I'm
the
not
joke,
out
Gary.
there harming human beings.
Explain the
That's not what I do.
explain the joke, Gary. That works really well. I want to. Did you grow up with Monty Python?
You know what? Not enough.
I don't know.
I have to tell you,
Okay,
the British humor, like Bunny Hill. I don't. But
Benny Hill.
the later I got, the older I got, I start to appreciate Monty Python a lot.
Let me explain something to you, Sonny. Benny Hill and Monty Python are not in the same sphere, not in the same planet.
I
Benny Hill
agree.
is
I agree.
English
By the
humor,
way,
and Monty Python is its own thing, man. I was raised on them. I won't do it because I overused my playtime on the electro ejaculation. But there's a bit. There's a 30-second bit from Life of Brian. For you, we'll share it separately about meetings and your love for meetings. You would love
really.
it. Oh my God.
Oh man. Do you know what I love? I have it on my phone in my video in my camera section. There's a clip when they're at the Coliseum and one of them wants to be trans. They're doing a funny trans bit from like 50 years ago. He goes, "Why I want to be called, I can't remember the name now. Oh my God." It's like, "Why do you want to be called that?" He goes, "Why? Because I want to have babies." "But you can't have babies." "Oh, but I want to have a baby." That whole scene is
Where are you going to
hysterical.
gestate the womb? In a box?
Yeah, you know, in a shoebox next to your body. Well, let's just say that he has a right to have a baby. Why? Watch that. That bit is hysterical, and it's a.
Meaning of, well, actually, the three of them. It's Holy Grail, Monty Python Holy Grail, then came Life of Brian, and then came The Meaning of Life. And they all have some amazing bits in there. But Life of Brian is probably, for me, the most coherent masterpiece because it addresses religion. Oh my God.
Was that the one where he was on the crucifix and they said, "Thank you for dying"? He goes, "No, get me down from here. I don't want to die.
Thank
Help
you for
me."
sacrificing for us, Brian. Oh, thank you, Brian. Like,
No.
no, get me down.
That was pretty funny, man.
So, Skyler, the two Jews have taken over. You got anything, buddy? You move over?
I have an endless supply. I'm practicing restraint because I don't know how many people get to the third hour of shows. I would rather have Gary on
Yeah.
again.
Let's
And
do it
the
again, by the way, because
donations.
I'm wearing out now too after that latest rant.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the bathroom when my dogs both intercepted me. I got up at 5 to run them on, to go on a long run, and they're not used to me being stationary this long. So
I went to
I
the
have to go
bathroom twice.
exercise, and so do my dogs.
I had to get up to empty my diapers twice. Gary, thank you for being you, man. Thank you for being on. Thank you for letting it rip and all that you've done. And who knows where Gary Yourofsky will end up in the world next. I know you follow your instincts. You said that a bunch. Like, I don't know. I'm just doing what I'm doing. And it's follow your bliss, man. More power to you.
I know in 2 days I'm debating somebody about the carnivore diet on the Libertarian Institute podcast.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
That should be fun.
I don't know how you do this shit.
When is that? Where is that?
In 2 days. 2 days.
Look
The
for
Libertarian Institute podcast.
Okay, cool. And then again, this is a fundraiser, folks. If you see this after the fact, if you like who Gary is and what he's done and what he's accomplished, better yet, you don't even like Gary, but you believe in what his fire for the animals, sashafarms.org. Please go there and donate on his behalf. Thank you so much, everyone, for paying attention. Skyler, thank you for hosting, as always. Fantastic. And Gary, again, I hope we can entice you out to San Francisco. We'd love to do much more of this and in person.
Maybe we'll do a live one later in the year or next year.
Okay, we'll bring our boxing gloves and our butterflies.
Save the butterflies, by the way. Everyone could do what I did. 90% of caterpillars never survive. Go out and save them, put them inside of an enclosure, feed them, let them cocoon, let them become butterflies, and set them free.
I'm a forest activist trying not to have people cut down trees to protect the western states from wildfire. That's what we're doing now, is more, controlling and managing everything which destroys habitat for untold millions of animals, including butterflies. Leave nature wild. We want to theme it all. Yes. Another conversation, another show.
All right. It was great talking to you guys. Thanks for letting me rant.
It was great. Thank you. We'll see everyone soon.
All right. Peace out.
Peace out.